feel is not aligned with strategy. So a lot of times your feelings will fail you as you get higher in strategy. Matter of fact, to even give you some clarity, at some point we're going to tap into emotional intelligence. You're going to discover how you experience the world is not how your mind and your body works, which is crazy, right? So when you say, I feel something, quite often that is limited. And so we find these podcasts to kind of navigate around a lot of assumptions that are, like a lot of podcasts are built on poor business assumptions, really, really poor business assumptions. So we spend a lot of time finding podcasts that are not only healthy, but they're operating from rich assumptions. So next week, I'm going to send you guys a podcast from Paul Bloom. Paul Bloom is a well-known psychologist. I think he's from Stanford. And he's going to talk about why empathy could be negative. And so when we come back to the following class, we're going to ask you we're going to start the first part of the class just discussing just the concept around empathy. So please listen to the podcast so you're prepared to participate in class. Otherwise, it's going to be another monologue because no one read listen to the podcast. Number 2, we also put out podcasts to transfer ownership. So we don't teach this class to be your gurus or this godlike figure. We teach this class to produce peers. And so when we give you this podcast, I want to help you guys kind of think about this on a broader scale. Don't just listen to the podcast. If you like the podcast, purchase that person's book. Trust me, we probably read most of the podcasts we send out. We read the material, we read the subject, or so forth and so on. Don't find yourself just following us. Become curious and explore knowledge for yourself. Because this entrepreneur stuff is not about, no one can really teach you this long term. Like we can introduce it to you, but at some point you're gonna have to become your own teacher. Because as you get further down the road, if you don't have that habit in place, it's gonna be a very expensive weakness, a very expensive weakness. So it's critical that you take control of your own learning for yourself. So those of you, when we send out the podcast, I want you guys to take some time, listen to it, write down your thoughts, your ideas, your agreements, your disagreements, and let's discuss them. Because without discussion, there's a chance that you can fall into this thing called rote, where you're just learning through just habits. You're just going through the regular routine. You're not learning. You're not sitting there and analyzing. You're not thinking. So discussions are critical for us to transfer knowledge to you, not for us to lead you, but for us to transfer to you. So you'll receive it through the membership email from Tennille. Also, we're building a membership-based Facebook group for you to start meeting your peers in the whole class. It's important you start networking. A lot of ideas when you have questions. I know some of you guys are working, you're sole proprietors running a team or just running your own business by yourself, or solo entrepreneurs or solo proprietors. In any of those situations, it's critical that you belong to a group, right? We already talked about that. So we're going to be building a members-only section on Facebook where we can have discussions, conversation, a lot of ideas. And that's going to be coming out next week as well. Last thing, too. Here's another tip. If you're online at any point and you discover somebody that you like, okay, if you're not on Twitter, or if you're on Twitter and you sign up to all the trash, okay, if you can, delete all this shit. All of it's trash, right? If you're on Twitter and you try to make it Facebook, I'm trying to help you out right now. Bad idea. Horrible, horrible idea. I'm going to give you a little trick here. As you learn to hunt for knowledge, you want to plug into public sources of knowledge, right? So one of the things I've done is I went through all my audiobooks, all the heavy hitters, and I went to their Twitter page. I signed up to follow them on Twitter. So when they are having deeper conversations or relevant conversations or new discoveries, I'm right in the middle of it. I can even ask a question if necessary, or they even reference new books that you can actually pick up and learn for yourself. So don't make Twitter like where you sign up for like the Kim Kardashian page, the Nicki Minaj page, Little Baby page, and then you wonder why you're like, Twitter's trash. Well, I want to give you back some of that responsibility. So at the end of the day, it's one of those things like, turn Twitter into your friend. Like, for example, one of the things that me and Court will do, you jump in my car during the day, you're not going to hear music. You'll hear a podcast or you'll hear an audiobook, right? The reality is that sometimes you're so busy you don't get a chance to sit down and read every second, right? But sometimes you want to keep that rhythm going. And a lot of times I learned the same thing 10 or 15, 20 times. Just keep that rhythm going so I can actually have ownership for myself and apply it. In my occupation, when I'm out in the field working with clients, I got to use this knowledge. This knowledge is not what I teach. I got to use this knowledge, and I got to produce results. And so in order for me to produce results, I have to have a deep level of ownership. He uses his knowledge like I promise you, he's not somebody's teaching you what to do. He uses this stuff because this is what's making us money. This is what's saving our life. This is what's growing our business. This is what's expanding our relationships. This is what's helping us reposition ourselves in the market. So, like, when you're in your car, instead of you playing music all day long, I get it. Like, sometimes your mind will need some music because you're running a poor body deficit and you need to restore yourself. That's fine. But for the most part, when you have when you're driving around, fine. And you can have different levels of podcasts. You can have that one podcast where you have to go home and reread what you just heard. An audiobook where you have to read what you just heard. And it could be some fun podcasts that are full of knowledge, but it's a little bit more fun. Right? But just learn to get used to taking in information, staying curious. What I'm trying to warn you and protect you from is it's called the godlike, I forget it's a term, I forget, but it's a godlike consciousness where you think you know everything. Once you think you know.
God complex.
Yeah, godlike complex. Once you start thinking you know everything or you're very insightful, you don't realize, okay, you can't possibly know a lot. Like, there's only so much you can know, right? And so what that does for us is it doesn't make me feel weak. It keeps me curious in the game. So as I stay curious in the game, I'm always learning. I'm always picking up knowledge. I'm always gaining, right? But when you can develop a godlike complex, there's no reason to read anything, right? You make these assumptions all the time, like you understand certain things. And what you don't realize is that you're not properly analyzing. What you're doing is taking previous experiences and copying and pasting on new experiences. And you wonder why your life has never changed. It's because you don't take time to change your experiences. So sitting in this class is helping you reprogram your experiences. So now when you see something, you see it with new eyes and you're able to produce a new result. But if you're not constantly practicing reinventing your past or reinventing the way you see things or think about things, then every time you see something, you're going to have the same outcome over and over. No matter how much you desire, no matter how much you will, your God complex will fool you to thinking when you're not fighting, you're going to win the next fight, only to lose again and lose again and lose again. And then here's the funny part. You lose so much, you'll blame somebody else for beating you up.
No, you used to be like, who jumped me?
Right,
it was a one-on-one, cuz.
You'll be convinced they're cheating. It's like what I see a lot of people are doing out there. Cat Williams, they're grabbing a microphone to amplify envy, right? When we envy something, we don't even know we're envying something. It's like because we're jealous of something. We'll say to ourselves, how are you successful? If you're successful, and it must be Illuminati or something, because if I accept you're successful because you did something better than me, then that means I have to accept that I'm weaker than you. Right? And so in the end, it's easy for me to say, somebody put you on, you were lucky, you happen to be in the right place at the right time, you have to be family, you're part of a secret society. And at the end of the day, it's like, no, what's invisible to you is his or her practice when the cameras were not on. Like, there's a saying that says 90% of a successful person is a hidden practice. Like I said, I think only 7 to 10% of it is visible. So a lot of times the visible stuff that you guys run around praising is the lowest of their value. It's really the hidden practice. And so I'm reinforcing that it's so important that you read this material. It's so important that you stick with the podcast. Next week, we're going to pick up, so we're going to do this thing, we're going to seesaw for a minute on the subjects. This week, Corey's going to take more of a lead. I'm going to support the work he's put into this class for this week. Next week, we'll come back. At the end starting in March, we'll go back to our other format where we'll split the class between the two of us. But next week, we're going to get back to Clear Thinking by Shane Paris, and we're going to roll through 1.1 into 1.2. Actually, no, we'll finish 1.1, and then we're going to get into the Geek's Way. And this will come out in the email, so it's not going to be something that I'm just announcing, but kind of getting you guys ready. And the Geek's Way is a book that I'm going to just use a certain section to talk about, to discuss the press secretary, how part of our brain is designed to protect us. And mind you, in my job, we have to study neuroscience. And so, but teaching neuroscience just doesn't translate when you try to teach a large group of people. So what you're going to hear us use a lot of times is metaphors. Most metaphors are wrong, but they're very, very useful, right? So in order for us to transfer empowerment to you, we're going to teach a lot of the neuroscience and psychology stuff through metaphors. If you have deeper interest, just let us know, or send us an email, and I can send you material for you to have more of a scientific reference, because it's always changing, by the way. So even if you learn today, literally somebody can discover something tomorrow, and the shit can start to flip, right? You could just remove one variable, and all of a sudden the whole concept or the whole principle changes everything, right? So, but I study this stuff all the time. Court had a love for this for whatever reason. He's weird that he loves this shit, and so he loves psychology. He loves history. He loves he studies foreign cultures and their philosophies, and so a lot of that stuff goes into. It's just not. We're not just our bank account, which is life is great, but we study a lot, not only for ourselves, but also to hold ourselves accountable when we show up in front of you. We don't ever want to show up in front of you and let our ego lead us. And quite often, and we're both open to giving each other pure feedback. If Court saw me teaching something that he absolutely disagreed with, it's going to be a phone call between here and next class. He's never going to be like, no, that was cool. I guess that's what we're doing now. That's just not how he rolls, because his integrity, he didn't do this because me and him we've been friends since elementary. He signed up for this because of his love for y'all. And that's when he joined me, he's like, yo, this is what I want to do for my people. Let's do this shit together. He didn't say, hey man, bro, we've been riding for a long time. Matter of fact, we didn't know each other before this class. It's just when I met him, we grew up in the same circles, and how come I don't know you? So that's why I'm familiar with him, because he's a black dude I grew up with without knowing he's the black dude I grew up with. So when his personality, when he's displaying his personality, I'm like, yeah, I'm familiar with you. There's nothing, I'm comfortable with this black dude because he's the kind of black dude that grew up in a block I grew up on. So it's just one of those things where even his mean side, which I'm probably never going to see, it ain't mean to me. It's that's what we grew up around. So he's just normal to me. He's hella normal. So with that being said, the homework and what we're going to be working on in next class, the chapters we're going to be focusing on, it's going to go out on Friday. Look for that. For the rest of you, hey, just stay with the class. It's free for you. Don't stress. Enjoy the process. If you want to become a member, cool. If you don't, if we're just a supportive class and you're taking the nuggets, it's gonna be plenty of nuggets for you to get from this class. We're giving this away on purpose, not because, once again, it's some sneaky business scheme or some bait and hook to get you in. It's because we want to challenge the information that's now gaining popularity. So with that being said, let's get this stuff rolling. And Corey, you ready to take off?
Yeah, before I do though, can you tell them what we talked about before the class, what the statistics are?
Oh shit!
That's partly why we're here too.
So, we were down in San Jose, working on something with the Claremont colleges, and somehow I was like, hey, pull the current numbers on the state of black folks in the United States as far as businesses. So before I say this, let me be very clear what I'm about to say. The one that controls business controls culture. The one that controls business almost controls your perception of reality. The one that controls business controls politics and power, right? That's 4 variables there that you take away those variables, you're just hanging out at the beach, right? So there's 4 critical variables that businesses control. Like when you're driving through a city, that's all business design. That's not organic trees growing. They happen to create a perfect lane for you to drive down. Cement roads are not designed. Matter of fact, freeways, all that's for business, right? Airports, business. Hotels, business. Restaurants are business, right? Like schools were designed for business, right? Your homes, where you live next to your neighbor, that was designed for business. We're not just setting up and dropping this is my land, and putting up a tent and building a log house. Everything's designed for herding people into a large population to keep businesses running, and it's a beautiful survival system. But anyway, so look at the numbers. Guess what percentage black folks control in the United States in business? How many businesses there are in the United States? We're 1.5% of the United States. 1.5. That's all we are. 1.5. Now, you know what the most businesses are? 1.5%.
No.
All of the United States of businesses and black-owned businesses represent 1.5%.
Is that like only like brick and mortar? That can't be like all the businesses.
1.5%. 1.5%. Look it up on your own system. 1.5%. Here's another thing too. In California, right? California has 39 million people, right? Guess how many businesses? In California, by the way, is the highest population of black businesses are in California. Not Atlanta. Number 2, I think, is New York. Guess how many black businesses are in California? There's 39 million in California. 39 million people. How many million people businesses? Yeah. 1.7 million businesses in California. Guess how many businesses are black?
Brace yourself.
Huh? That's damn near it. 13,000. 13,000 out of 1.7 million. Now, you would never know that if you was on social media, right? Here's a lesson for you on social media that most people will never understand. The loudest voice always represents the minority, and the quietest voice is the majority. That's a rule of life. So when you go online, whatever's popping or whatever's trending or whatever the loudest voice exists, it's always the minority. And it's funny they keep running the same, they're canceling people online. That's the minority canceling you. That's not the majority. This is why Trump was like, yeah, whatever, I don't give a shit about you canceling me. The majority over here, when I looked at the votes, I got this many votes. So even the majority of people online saying you trash, that's not a measurable number. That's not a clean sample size. And so think about that. All the chatter we're having, one of the number one states in business is California, and there's only 13,000 out of 1.7 million black-owned businesses.
Yeah.
Now that number's rough because there's some states they do a poor job. So, for example, I was in a meeting and I was in a major city helping them with some marketing material, and they were trying to pull data for how many black businesses they actually had, and they didn't really count that data. I was like, I don't really know what the fuck that is, right? And number 2, but most businesses that are strong enough to be counted, this one city is like, we don't have anything for that. This is no lie. The city is the size of Oakland. I'm not going to call it the city. The city is the size of Oakland. They say we may have 7 to 9 black businesses. 7 to 9 black businesses. Go ahead.
Test. Okay. So I realize that this is going to be a bubble statement because I live in the Bay Area. And because majority of my friend circle is entrepreneurs, so for me, my world is like, yo, what are you talking about? I know hella black business owners. What do you think is the reason why we have such a high concentration of entrepreneurs in our specific area, which leads us to like be misguided by representation and how much of us we really are? Because I think that part of that, I have several friends that own like brick and mortar businesses, online businesses. And so I'm like, all right, we need to do more work, but we doing good. And then I hear that and I'm like, shoot.
So this is so let me fix your question a little bit. So when I started 510 Media, our first goal was to work with mainly black businesses to help them grow their brand. we got a chance, and we had a lot of black faces come into our office. When we got a chance to look behind the scenes and see their numbers, we had very few black faces come into our office. So a lot of people get businesses. We wear the badge and clothing really, really well, as you really should know. And a lot of people will say, I'm doing really, really good. I know a person right now is a big celebrity in business in Oakland right now, and he's popping. So some people, I ain't gonna call their name because I'm gonna keep everything kind of vague, but it's a real person. This person is a celebrity in business. Somebody pull their numbers. Guess how much they make a month? $5,000 to $6,000 a month. Let me help you out with that. That's under $70,000 in the Bay Area. Okay, folks in Chicago, that's like making $30,000 a year. But they popping. I promise you. I know businesses right now that it get real bad. When I can pull if you were to pull the numbers back, you'll realize, number two, when you say, most of the people I know, you're looking at a small space. So your perception is limited. Like that's a guy like complex. Your perception is so small. Also, Oakland is a segregated city. It was starting to open up now. Like as you see the migration is happening, but it was a segregated city for so long. So most of black stuff that's going to be happening was in these little segregated areas. Now think about all of California. Like you can go to California right now and not see a black face in many cities, right? You go to LA, yeah. Sacramento, yeah. Oakland, yeah. Right? Used to be East Palo Alto, but even there it's like, it's starting to get kind of thin, right? Go down San Jose, you be like, where the black people at? Right? I mean, literally, go Castro Valley, where the black people at? Right? Like you start to see, as you go further out, Water Creek, where the black people at? It's not, somebody say I live in Water Creek, you're like, what? Right? Because it's like, that's just not happening. You get to like maybe Concord, you'll have some black folks out there, Antioch. Because a lot of black folks migrated from Richmond, so Richmond can start to gentrify and move them out to Antioch via government supplements, right? But the reality is, what you're going to find out is that black folks is not doing as good as you think we are. But we're wearing the mask like we're performing at a high level. We're buying. We just had a black person that's in our circle. I can't, once again, not calling names. Bought a fancy ass car, ain't hit $500,000 yet. How in the fuck you driving that car? You ain't hit $500,000. Because the pressure in our community says you gotta look a certain way, just to be even in the conversation. If you're a single man, you're not gonna walk out with that bad one. If she walks out that business and she has to jump into a Nissan Sentra, it might be a little rough on you. So that pressure of status, because we don't feel like we're good enough, makes us really color our businesses in a way that's just not what we think it is. 3, business is really a slow, rough process. So when I see people, I'm running my own business, that's not the conversation. Okay, there's an entrepreneur in this room right now. Every time we talk, we don't talk about I'm running my own business. We're talking about the challenges of everyday business. And the challenges gives you insight on what level I am at in my business. But if I talk about I'm an entrepreneur, even I say about online business, can I see your numbers? And when you see the numbers, you're like, 4 or 5 G's a month? I had one person tell me, yo, my business is doing real good. Once again, I ain't calling, these are all real stories. I'm not calling on that. My business is doing real good. I had a 30% improvement from last year. I said, how much you made last year? 10,000. Bro, don't say that's improvement ever again as long as you live. Don't ever say, matter of fact, you should start crying on my shoulder since you saw me. Go ahead.
Yo, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm just, hey man, I'm real.
Behave.
What are you gonna do to me?
I need you to behave so I can behave. All right. I know that my experience and my comments are coming from a bubble, from like a small worldview. The second part of my question was, do you can you lean into why you think we have concentrated? Is it because like black people have been segmented that it feels like there's concentrated areas of a lot of black people in a specific area? And then my then my follow up is, what are we considering black business? Like understanding that there's an evolution process from a thought, idea, concept testing, developing a customer base, sustainability. Like, what are we considering Black business? And yeah, I'll leave that.
You absolutely want to ask before answer.
Just to kind of piggyback off of that, if you can kind of add some context in, just in general, what defines a business in context to the data that you just shared with us, so that we can understand the difference of, does somebody who's generating revenue, even though they don't have a business license, counted in that data or not? Like, can you define that so we can have some basis for what a business is?
Yeah, well, no, it's so first of all, Black owned. It has to be the leader of the business has to be Black. You can have all white employees, but the owner has to be Black, right? That's number one. Number two, if you're registered and everything's in good standings, right? They don't really say you have to have a certain amount of limit. So even with that number, it can be worse. It can be worse. Like, once we dive deeper into the data, the reality is, okay, if we were doing really good in business, so for example, the Jewish community represents 5% of the United States. Now we're at 14, they're at 5. I don't know if somebody can look at the numbers real quick, but the Jewish community have a pretty healthy business presence, right? Which is brilliant, because the trauma they've been through, it allows them to protect their space here, because don't act like Jewish people were welcomed in America. They were not, right? I don't know, y'all don't know Jewish history, but Jews didn't come to America with like open arms, like, oh, come on, cousin. It was almost like, all right, we really don't want to take y'all, but we'll take a few. That kind of attitude, because most of Europe didn't want them to come to Europe, which is kind of once again, get to Jewish history, it's a lot of trauma. But, so your numbers don't, last time you just say you 14%, last time you hear this in politics, well, they only represent 5%, so unless they have 5% of the education, they should be okay. Even in education, at our highest high, we were at 4%, and at the lowest low, we were at 3% of colleges. We may have high percentage of college students who will apply through register for the college, but only less than 3 to 4% will actually complete the process because of one of the arguments is because of cost, right? We are really suffering. I would even argue that did you get the percentage?
I'm looking.
Okay, I would even also argue that for Black folks, not only are we not performing high in the educational sector, we're not performing high in the economic sector. A lot of our mental health. Okay, Court teaches a subject that I begged him to bring it back to class, because when he brought it to class last time, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And I think we need to even dive deeper into it, and hopefully he dives deeper into it, is a lot of our mental health problems we're having is not because of, it has to do with intelligence. And I'll get into this at some point in class, how neuroscience works. I might even get a little bit of tap into it today based on some stuff he's going to teach. A lot of our mental health problems we're having is because of scarcity and survival mode. We're stuck in survival mode. A lot of Black, and so and then even if you're not, okay, let's say you weren't born in survival mode, but your mother raised you in survival mode, you've been victimized by survival mode principles that are failing you, or habits that are failing you, right? So survival mode has become a heavy weight on our shoulders, causing so much psychological damage that our lack of performance is combined with a lot of historical bad ideas and principles that were passed down from slavery that had never been challenged because we wrapped them in so many emotions and love. Our conditions that we live in. And the reason we are concentrating in certain areas, it was segregation. It was white folks didn't want to be around Black folks at that time. Right? And if you really look at it, liberals are more segregated than conservatives, which is funny. Crazy as shit, right? Like, liberals are more separated. Like, if you ever go to LA, right, go to the Black neighborhoods, then go to the white neighborhoods or go to the rich neighborhoods and see who you don't see. The separation is there, right? And a lot of it is, if you allow society to run a negative brand about you, let's say if I say to you, is this people called the purple people, and their brand is, and I just give you this list of negative things. Not true, but I just get you to believe that. Would you want them to live next to you? You see what I'm going? I don't want to turn this against, I don't want to get into that space, because I think some of our trauma makes us over leverage Black versus white, when really we got to focus on ourselves. Right? I don't want to leverage that. I think that's an argument that can take us down a rabbit hole that still leaves us in the same place when we wake up the next morning, right? What I want to argue to us is that while we're up here teaching this class, because we have serious problems facing us, from mental health to education to economic, that's real to our children. What was it, 10 years ago? No, less than 6 years ago or 7 years ago, less than 25% of our black males in the Bay Area graduated from high school in the segregated area. Only 25% of our black boys graduated. Only 25%. 75% didn't graduate. Like, that's not okay. That's not even close to okay. And so we're in crisis mode, but we're on Instagram and Facebook like it's all good. And you got people running around here with the God complex, like I know everything and I can figure this all out by myself. And all you need to do is, there's no such thing.
Yeah. So the reason why this was important is because that's why we're here. That's why this class exists. Is because it is imperative for people who have some traction or some knowledge or is a certain distance in the journey to be able to give back and share to the rest of us. Because who was it? Was it Andre 3000 who said, none of us are free if all of us are oppressed. None of us are free, no matter how well you think you're doing, because your culture is you. And so that's why this class is here, is at 1.5%. I damn near will go home and cry on my pillow because this is my people. So we have a responsibility, I believe, that's my story, and I think it's his story too, that we have a responsibility to share this game, to share whatever knowledge that we have so that we all level out and become on the same level so that we can rise our boats together. Second piece is this. I believe, I'll use hoop analogies, right? In basketball currently, we have it's pretty bad. Ask DJ. You walk into a gym, you see a lot of 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 13-year-olds in games. They grab a rebound, they run down, they stop at the three-point line, they shoot the three. The other team gets the ball, they run up, stop at the three-point line, shoot the three. Shoot the three, shoot the three, shoot the three. Because Steph Curry shoot the three. So everybody sees what they see on TV, and they say, that's what success is, I'm gonna mimic it. So now you got a whole bunch of kids shooting threes, not realizing Steph Curry's dad was a professional NBA player and taught him how to shoot the three as a child. And Steph Curry shoots 500 threes a day and been doing it since he was one digit. That's the side, the 95% that he talked about that people don't see. They just see shoot the three. So when kids get in the game, pop culture, popularity, they mimic popularity. I see the same shit happen with entrepreneurship.
Come on, D. I mean, come on, man.
So we get in everybody just wants to shoot threes. They see people popping, vacations, balling, Bentleys, private jets, big houses, and they just want to go directly to shoot the three. Shoot the three, shoot the three. And so when you see numbers like 1.5%, you like, damn, everybody's missing. Because I see hella people shooting, hella people missing. 0 for 10, 0 for 15, 0 for... And what we need, fundamentals. Just like in the hoop world, kids need fundamentals first. This is how you dribble. The highest percentage shot is the one under the basket. And work your way out. Same thing with entrepreneurship. We need fundamentals first. And then if you practice the fundamentals, then over time, you add on top of the fundamentals, and then the shakes and the spins and behind the backs and all that comes on top of your very solid foundation of fundamentals. Same thing with entrepreneurship, fundamentals. So today we're gonna talk about some fundamentals. And for those of us who've been in the class for hella long or know some of these, try to find a new way to learn it. Just try to find a new angle to learn it, because you probably heard it before. And if you haven't heard it before, understand 98.5% of the people are doing things a certain way. What we're saying is we got to do shit different. We got to do it different. So if it feels different to you or weird to you, that's because it's part of the 1.5%. And you just ain't used to it. So it's fundamental time. It's going to be like, all right, this is how you dribble the ball. This is how a two-handed pass. None of that one-handed behind the back shit is all or stuff. It's all going to be curated to help us understand more deeper levels of fundamentals. Because guess what? The fundamentals is what wins the game.
Real quick, let me add something too. I think one thing that we discovered. So I came up, I came up in started business. Working on my first business, I think. Shit. Long time ago. Wow. I just thought when I started my first business, that was almost 40 years ago. I was a little kid. I started a grass cutting business. But my whole life is I made all these attempts at being an entrepreneur. And when I was coming up, I was taught these ideas of white folks was going to stop me. There's be discrimination. They won't let me get through. All these white supremacy obstacles were laid out for me. And I moved into business making those assumptions those things are real. Now, when I first started, there was a big middleman. So because the internet wasn't popping. So if the middleman said, you can't buy these apples, then, and if you want to buy these apples, I'm gonna sell it to you for 3 times the amount I sell it to this guy. And that's how it was, right? Internet destroyed the whole middleman market. The whole middleman market died, right? Mm-hmm. You had direct access to vendors like never before. Like you can call somebody straight from China and say, hey, I just need some t-shirts. And I'm not even dealing with the local press. And I need it at this price, right? So it literally gave you this direct access. But what did not change was the middleman in our mind. So now in business, now that I'm performing, I realize, first of all, the black market is a huge market, right? A lot of folks rock with us. A lot of white folks, a lot of Jewish folks, Asian folks, Latino folks. There's even some Indian folks, not as many, but they will rock with us. We have a huge population of people who will buy your products and rock with you. Now, when they say rock with you, somehow we turn this conversation into racism turned into likability. Those are 2 different things. Anybody knows running around trying to get everybody to like you will cause mental health problems. Racism is you systemically stopping me from surviving. That did happen one time, and it was very very dominant. White folks don't talk like that. They don't organize like that. Most of those stories you heard about white folks having successful organization on destroying black folks, not saying it didn't happen in California because it was way more complex and it's a different conversation. But lots of we learn in the South, small towns where you say something, a group of white boys get together at night, roll through and come get you. Ain't nobody rolling up, no white boys are not rolling together coming to East Oakland. I can promise you that. If you decided to sell apples in East Oakland, matter of fact, white folks won't even see you. They don't care. They're too busy working on their goals, taking care of their family, and working on getting their kids to school and trying to pass down their legacy, right? But our minds haven't never had opportunity. So one thing that me and Cord has realized as we started to teach this class, most of the limitations are baked into our thinking because the damage that was done to us historically. And what we're trying to do is refresh your thinking so you can see what we can see. Because I promise you, when I'm out here and I'm making money, I'm not bidding the lowest. Often I'm the highest bidder. And I'm well welcome because the way I present myself, the way I present my product, and when I show up in the room, I show out. And this practice, when I'm teaching this class, I practice to teach you, but I also practice to perform. And if I underperform, I don't never focus on what that person did better than me or if they cheated. I focus on what opportunity did I miss, right? And so what I'm explaining to you is that a lot of us are focusing on the world from the world is resisting us as opposed to it's something you just don't know. You're a smart person because if you listen to us right now, you're smart. If you're listening to us right now, you're smart. You got yourself here. You're a very intelligent person. When people say you're not, I told my son the other day, when somebody says you're not intelligent, that's a dirty game. It's a myth. My son knows I make tiramisu. If I make tiramisu, you about to be poisoned, right? I don't know how to make that kind of shit. I may know something about behavior science and business models and strategy. He may know something about producing. Who's smarter? It's relative. LeBron James might be the smartest dude on the basketball court. In the woods, he's a problem. I don't know. Cut a tree for what? right? So what I'm trying to explain to you that's a fool's game to buy into. You're smart or you're dumb. Stop playing that game. Now, if you're trying to focus on business and you're not hitting those numbers the way you wished, it's not because you're ignorant. It's not because you're lesser than. It's not because you were the last child born or the first child born. It's not because you ain't cute as the next person next to you. It's something you just don't know. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. Stop putting your value on trial every time you experience failure. It has nothing to do with your personal value ever.
Great point. Great point. Great point.
Ready to roll?
Let's roll.
Let's do it.
Recap. So one of the things I wanted to recap was a dope discussion we had last week around one of the major fundamentals in entrepreneurship is you got to clean your house. Like, you got to start with a clean house. As clean as you can clean it. And I mean mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, relationship-wise. You got to clean your house. Because if you got clutter in any one of those elements of your life, then you're going to have very little time or little bandwidth to push your business. If you got a stressful relationship, if your house is nasty, you got health issues, you're not eating right, you're not sleeping right. Like, you got to work, you got to get that clean. Because if you take on another role of really wanting to start a successful business, that is a huge undertaking. Entrepreneurship, like, part of the fundamentals is, that's easy. I'm about to start this business, and it's going to blow up, and it's going to be big, and then we're going to just be everywhere. Like, the lightness of how I hear people talk about entrepreneurship be cracking me up. You know what? Never mind. I'm going to start 3 businesses. I'm going to have this one at the same time as this one. I'm going to do this. And I'm like, for real? It's like that? So either you are from another superhuman planet that's on a Marvel movie, or you're hugely delusional because you overestimate how tough this shit is going to be. So part of it is how much time, attention, money, right? How much time can you allocate to your business? Healthy time, undistracted, focused time. And that all depends on how clean your house is in those 5 pillars of your life. So if you get 6 hours or 3 hours of sleep, you wake up that next day, you're at 40% because you're tired. Then you got drama. And then your emotions is all over the place because somebody triggered you. If I trigger you at 8 a.m. and you don't get over it till the next day, how effective are you going to be as an entrepreneur? So remember, the fundamentals, it sounds hella simple, but you got to clean your house. You got to clean your house. If your friends are always pressuring you to do dumb shit, party, this, that are distracting things, it's not a complicated algorithm or neuroscience or behavior science or business strategies. It's simply, if you got friends that are distracting to you, you ain't gonna make it. Because how much time do you think you can actually allocate focused, quality, strong mental time on building your business? That is real. And it flies over people's head because clean your house is a simple sentence, but it's so complicated. When I started CourseSmith, it was certain things I had to do. I knew it when I started this business because I was in between companies. I started my first company. Y'all know what happened. Crash and burn. So I'm in my recovery / kick it / I don't know what I want to do stage / okay, now I think I know what I want to do. But my lifestyle did not reflect entrepreneurship at all. And so one of the things I had to do, I drank, I smoked, I kicked it hard, I partied, I had all kind of shit. So what I had to do was say, if I want this bad, it's some certain things that I have to sacrifice. I still am raising my children. So those are going to take up a good amount of my time. So what's left? All of this. So it's gone. Stop drinking. No more. Stop smoking, no more. And it goes with the debates about, well, is weed okay? It might be, whatever. I don't care, but I stopped. Well, alcohol, I could drink wine. It might be. That's cool, but I stopped. Because I realized, hey, that Saturday morning, I ain't got no headache. I can write down more ideas. I can go to the gym and sell some shirts. I can go hustle. I can go I freed up more time. Same 24 that everybody else has, but the allocation of time is different because of how we manage it, right? All the little relationships and situationships that I had. Hey, check this out. I'm focused now. I got to do my thing. Sorry. Bye. Freed up my time.
Just got real up in here.
You see what I'm saying? Free and that's hard. That was hard. But how dedicated am I to building this business? How dedicated am I? What am I willing to sacrifice? And so it's the same with you. The reason why it stays 1.5, I believe, is people don't want to give up nothing. They want this, but they don't want to give up nothing to get it. So this one slide, we probably can teach this for 3 hours.
I'm actually going to wait to speak on this one about 3 slides down because I'm reading. He has some great slides coming up. Only thing I would add is one small thing. Every time your body, so feelings and emotions are not the same thing. What you feel and your emotions are not the same thing. I'm getting to that a little bit deeper in a second. But your feelings and emotions, like people say, I feel, and they just automatically they assume that's an emotion. When your body's sending you when your body's sending your senses, your body's sending your brain a certain sense of feeling, it's indicating that your body is out of order. It's running a deficit. Drinking and smoking or any type of drug, I don't give a shit if it's Motrin, well, yeah, actually Motrin, there's a value argument for Motrin, but even Motrin, if you're constantly taking a drug or drinking or smoking because you need it for something or to help you feel better, it's because you're helping your mind, what you're doing is you're forcing your mind to ignore the problem because your body sends you a message, and when your body sends you a message, it's telling you, it's calling for action, right? When the body says it doesn't feel good, it's calling for action. And if you numb that all the time, you're disconnecting from reality and you can't respond to it. So in the end, it's almost like your body lets you know you're about to have diabetes before you have diabetes. It's going to send you messages, but you can ignore all those signals because you numb yourself all the time, drinking, smoking, snorting, whatever you're doing. And then all of a sudden, when it's too late, you all of a sudden, oh, wow, that was what's happening. So a lot of times, the reason when he says clean your house, when you're drinking, you're actually dirtying your house. Mm-hmm. You're distorting your ability to see what you need to see to make certain calls. Because if you become aware of that feeling that your brain is trying to send you, and you become curious and you go through a process of discovery and you figure it out, it's helping you fix and align certain things. Mm-hmm. So your brain is so cold, and the way you experience your brain, the way your brain works is so cold. So I'm gonna get further into it in about 3 more slides.
And here's the thing about what we got to understand as entrepreneurs, because we picked a different route. We picked the route of the smallest percentage, right? So here's one trick you'll understand is the other 99% will a lot of times they'll normalize and glamorize things that are harmful for you. Because, hey, if I happen to be so cool and my swag is I got so much swag and I got a bad habit, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make that bad habit even sound cool. Hey, yeah, I snort that little powder. I play with my nose. You know what I'm saying? And I can say it's so cool and so to where it's like, oh shit, yeah, that's just what he do. We'll normalize that shit, and so if you hear it enough times and it spreads enough times like a virus, we'll forget that it's killing us. Food. What the FDA says is healthy. How much sugar we eat. Pork. There's all kind of stuff that we normalize as a society that if you really dug deep into the reality of it, it is killing you. So what the 1% does is they analyze everything and say, how does this work for me? How is this helpful for me? What's the short-term, medium, and long-term implications of this? Not saying we're gonna be perfect or you're gonna live this super perfect life, because you sure ain't. But it's a matter. But you're always evaluating things and looking at things outside of the 99% or what's normalized. I get scared when somebody say everybody doing it. Oh, I don't want to be like everybody, so I don't want to do it.
That's real. That's real.
Next slide. Shabisha.
This class goes deeper than teaching entrepreneurs how to fish.
Okay, let's stop there. So there may be people in this class, because it happens every year, who are expecting a certain curriculum and a certain rhythm of entrepreneur, or what they're going to gain in this class, what they're going to learn. And maybe it could be around writing business plans, or how to form, which LLC should I, which corporation should I form, LLC, S Corp, C Corp, all of those things. Or strategically, like how do I get X customer to do Y? Real detailed nuts and bolts fishing things. The reason why this goes way deeper than teaching you how to fish is because there's who knows how many people in the class here and online, all different businesses. But if you go to the root of entrepreneurship, then it can apply to all your business, because we're teaching you how to think like an entrepreneur, not how to fish. Because you may be a fisherman and you may hate fish. Keep reading.
Keep going.
I don't normally add something, but can I say this? They just did a study, and the number one thing that small businesses that they're working on is teaching business people how to make better decisions.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. We've been doing that shit for 8 years.
And I'll say that's their number one new aha. They have not been doing it, but research just came out that the number one thing that businesses lack and why they can't move forward is because they don't understand how to make good decisions.
Well, watch this. Somehow in your brain, you think once you catch the fish, you're rich. And you think that when you go fish, it's going to be at a pond full of fish. And all you need to do is just figure out the method of how to get that bait properly on that line and just catch the perfect fish, right? Not realizing that not only will more people show up tomorrow, not only will fish die off, not only will you're fishing in the ocean where the water is rough as hell, not only that, the pole you just purchased is compromised, and catching one fish a day is no longer good enough. Right? And all those variables continue to change. And while you're getting sick and you're having kids and all these different variables are happening. So if you can't make great decisions, just being able to fish by itself means you can catch a fish. You just can't multiply that.
Once you understand the psychology behind hunting and fishing, you realize your goal is not to fish, but actually to eat. You will learn to create optionality thinking and apply first principle and second order thinking to build sustainable systems generating food, in many ways bringing you food while you sleep.
That's the goal of this class. So by the end of this year, that is the way you'll be thinking. If somebody said, hey, do you want some fish? By the end of this year, you're going to say, where'd you get the fish from? What's the systems behind it? Is that sustainable? Because it ain't just about the fish. It's not just about learning how to fish. You're compromised if you just learn how to fish, just like he said. So over the course of this class, this is where we're taking you, why the thinking behind fishing is so important. Because guess what? What if that lake or that river or that ocean is poisoned? What you gonna do now? Die? Entrepreneurial thinking says, oh, what are my options? As soon as it happens, what are my options? What happens next? What's the effects of what I'm doing? How long is this sustainable? Plus, I'm getting old, so I can't be out here at 60-something years old trying to throw my rod out here catching fish. So entrepreneur thinking is 100 times, 1,000 times more important than just the skill of learning how to fish, and that's why this is important. Next slide.
You are building an enterprise in an ever-changing and compromised world.
Okay, huge one.
That's huge.
So understand this: you're building a brand on something that's moving. It's always moving. You can't rely on what it was today, yesterday, the day before, because it's ever changing. Fads come and go every day. And something pops up on Instagram that can make what you do obsolete. A new invention can come and make what you do obsolete. Electric vehicles are the thing. Everybody's racing to electric vehicles. They just are perfecting hydrogen, which says, hey, if we keep perfecting this thing, 5 years from now, electric vehicles will be obsolete. Mm-hmm. What? So you got to understand, entrepreneur thinking is the most valuable thing you can have. It's not your widget. It's not your idea. How many people had their ideas stolen? Oh, they stole my idea. Yeah, well, an entrepreneur is going to shake that shit off and figure out what they can continue to do to add value to the marketplace. Keep going.
Well, let me add something real quick to that. There's an argument that says the most important. So we live in a skill-based world. So often you hear people who come out of college who celebrate the skill that they gain from their education. It's not really you gain a skill, but you gain entry to a skill from education. What people are starting to say right now is that the most important skill you can ever gain is to be adaptable. Because the world's changing so fast. If you can adapt and relearn, adapt and relearn, adapt and relearn, you're not gonna be able to survive in future society at all. Like my father and his father could have the same skill their whole life and they've been okay. In 2024, now mind you, that's for corporate America, this statement was made for. So when you have a corporate job, for entrepreneurs, it's always been that way. Because when competition shows up, you have to adapt. And like, for example, that argument that Cat Williams was making saying, Cedric stole his jokes. If you're an entrepreneur, that doesn't bother you. I think what Hov said, make another joke, right? Like literally, I get it, and that's disappointing. And if he made a bag from that, okay, cool. If it's that much of a bag, sue him. Otherwise, stop talking about it, keep moving forward. You don't have time to even look at that, right? Our goal is to adapt and move forward. Going backwards and complaining all the time, that's a waste of attention and time. And so being adaptable, because the world is going to continue to change at a rapid rate. What you want the world to become and what the world will become are two different arguments.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not have a resource to ground you to reality, you will soon lose your grip on what it takes actually to win.
So that's what this foundation is about. As an entrepreneur, we have to have a healthy, beautiful relationship with reality. We
don't want that.
And it can be so tough for us to transition into that. It's the exact situation between how many entrepreneurs we think there are and how many entrepreneurs there actually are. You realize there's a lot of situations in life like that. And you have to get comfortable with it. It's like taking cold showers. Once you get a healthy relationship with reality, you'll also start to seem kind of like an asshole.
Matter of fact, you can't. Okay, I'm gonna give y'all absolute transparency here. If you develop a healthy relationship with reality, you can't lead in your conversations with that. It's not effective. Mm-hmm. Even if you're working with somebody who needs you. Okay. Mm-hmm. The goal in communication is not to tell you what's right, is to get you to look in another direction. If I come to you and say this is right, a lot of times it's just too disruptive for some people. There's certain people that can handle it. But like, for example, when I go into business meetings and I'm talking to a group of people, I'm hearing a lot of trash. I gotta make a decision, which one do I wish to address, and then how do I address it? If I come straight from my mind to them, they're gonna probably ask me to leave the room, right? Most people can't handle reality talking. Now, a strong entrepreneur can. You meet a strong entrepreneur, like my mentor, if you try to talk to him outside of reality, he's gonna crush you. That's why I probably have never had him come to this class, because he would just try to crush everybody. But but the world, when you're moving in business, most people are. So here's a cool thing, neuroscience. Between reality, okay, what we see, what the world out here and how we perceive it is not accurate, and our brain and the way we process it is not accurate. Truth happens in a negotiation between the real world and our perception. And a lot of times that space is a space of distortion. And we get distorted so much by what we believe and what we feel. So what we see, we really don't see. What we hear, we really don't hear. Because the stories of what happened to us in our past continue to color everything that we see moving forward. You ever met somebody who dated somebody that was really, really bad, and they happened to meet you next? And they ended up blaming you, or they kept pulling the trigger every time they thought you was going to do the same thing because of what happened to them previously? Well, our brain does that all the time, right? And so until you're able to fix that middle space, the world between the real world and your perception, most of us are not living in reality. And so when you walk into a room full of people, of diverse groups of people, and you just call out reality, they say they want to hear it, but a lot of times you will dismiss everything they just said because everything they just built upon was built upon a false assumption. Craziest shit ever.
Yeah. Have you ever, I know maybe none of y'all have done it, but I know when I started my first business and the money just wasn't popping, I just stopped looking at my account. Like, I'm just going to go to sleep and I'm going to wake up and it's going to be money in this thing.
I see that happens. That's real.
Oh, it's nothing in there. Oh, I'm just going to ignore it
That's real emotion.
and go to sleep and wake up and it's just something's going to happen. Because I didn't want to deal with reality. Reality says, okay, this is what it is. Let's figure out a way to make it happen. It goes back to the first slide, clean your house, right? Because if you don't clean your emotional house, and your emotions are right here, right at your neck, right? So if they're right at your neck, if one person says one thing that ain't cool, you either mad, sad, crying, angry, frustrated, but you triggered. So it's very difficult to have a relationship with reality if you're always on the emotional edge. So that's why the first slide is so important, because entrepreneurship is plagued with failure and rejection. You're gonna get rejected the majority of the time. You're gonna fail a lot. So if you up here emotionally, or if the tears is just right here at the bottom of the eyes waiting to spill out, then every rejection, anytime somebody says no, anytime something don't go your way, then it's a wrap. The day is ruined. So your relationship with reality is a fundamental that is absolutely necessary for you to move forward. Doesn't mean you're not a dreamer. Doesn't mean you can't have big dreams and big goals, but you also have to be grounded in reality.
So let me help you out now. Let me give you all some, this is a fun point. For many of you guys who are struggling with mental issues, there's some basics you can always do to get to regain mental strength. Here's the basics. It's really, really fucking simple. It's not simple as it evolves, but I'm saying the basics is simple. Just most people can't do it. It's doing it is complex. Sleep, critical. How you eat, right? Because if the body runs low on resources, it will create moody behavior. I'm irritated. God damn it. This pissed me off, right? Exercise. You said, no, why exercise? Your body is in a constant feeling mode. It's always feeling. Right now, your body's going through feelings. You're like, I feel some kind of way. No, your body's always feeling. That's the default behavior of the body. When you're asleep, the body's feeling, right? The brain, first of all, your body doesn't feel, your brain feels. So your brain is always feeling. Your body's always sending signals to the brain. Hey, you feel this, you feel that, right? Just like right now, if I told you, hey, pay attention to how does your butt feel right now? You'd be like, oh, I can feel it. It was always there, but you numbed yourself to that process, right? When you don't exercise, you can get caught in feeling loops. What I mean by feeling loops, it's irritating me. It's really got me messed up. And your brain starts to loop it. And now it's controlling you. And it's starting to dominate. So then you go for a run and you shift your energy for feeling on that, focus on that feeling to the feeling of the run, which then allows you to calm the fuck down and process your feelings. Process your emotions, right? So watch this. But here's the one that's gonna blow your mind, one of the major ones. So the group you hang around is critical. But you know what causes most of our disturbance and most of our anger? So if you find like yourself getting angry and times like, why am I getting angry? Or it wasn't that fucking serious. There's two major things that creates a lot of angers in most human beings. One is having poor language for your emotions. They call it emotional granularity. And what they're saying is like, for example, your brain will treat getting stepped in your, so for example, if I knocked your water over your table and it irritates you, and your car get hit and it irritates you, but the only word you have is mad, then your brain will process them the same because you gave them the same label. You have to have different words for different emotions so your brain can spend less resources on different emotions. But what happens is our brain is spending the same resources for every damn incident. So if somebody stepped on your foot, knocked the water over, and then your car get hit, and then somebody slapped your child, in your brain it's an equal thing because you use the word mad and angry for all four incidents when they weren't all four the same thing. So a lot of you guys are burning because emotions burn resources. And if you burn too many resources, you start to lose control, right? Number one. But here's the other one. And let's go back to a conversation I had with Shakina a long time ago. You know what really causes, another thing that causes discomfort and anger and frustration? Uncertainty in your life. If you have anywhere in your life that you have uncertainty, even if you say, okay, I'm gonna bury this uncertainty back there, it's gonna eat at you every day. And one day you're like, I just don't feel right. I'm feeling kind of shitty. Life things are irritating me today. Like everybody get on my nerves today. There's some uncertainty in your background. This is why I was talking about the survival mode, why it's so powerful, because when you live in survival mode, that's a constant uncertain space to be in, right? Everything around, you don't know if you're gonna eat tomorrow, you don't know if you're gonna be able to pay your bills, you don't know if you're gonna be able to pay the rent next week, you don't know if the person you date gonna stay here, you don't know what's gonna happen next, you don't know if you get an illness, can you pay for it and go to the hospital? You don't know nothing, right? So the less you know, so what you'll find is that as an entrepreneur, going back to clean the house, this is my clean the house extension. You got to get rid of a lot of uncertainty in your life. Take care of business. When you let a lot of business just kind of linger in the background, it's going to destroy your mood and your behavior and make you lose emotional control.
Real talk. Next slide.
Your reality has been subsidized for so long that when you connect with the reality, it seems harsh and unbearable. You fight, you run, or you freeze.
So
He explained this one. This is a hard one.
So understand this. The course of your life since you've been a child, your reality has been subsidized for you. Your parents subsidized your reality from 0 to 18. Where you went, what you ate, your home, your room, your toys, your school, the food you ate, even curated the friends you hung around at school, when you can spend a night, when you couldn't spend a night with a friend's house, what parties you can go to, and over time it shaped your reality, right? 18 or whatever that age you were when you ventured off outside of your parents' home, you thought you was being free. I'm free. 18, I'm 16, I'm 20, whatever the age is. You thought we was being free. Now, understand your freedom was still being subsidized by a reality that society was creating for you. So you went and got a job.
Come on, man.
So, I got my own job. I got my own apartment. I got my own car. Now, your job replaced the parenting that you received as a child. They gave you a salary that was curated, which created a reality. You had to be in a certain spot every day, which was curated, and you needed a reality as an employee. So your lifestyle up until the point where you decide or you have decided you want to be an entrepreneur is a reality that's been subsidized. That is why it's so hard for folks who have done the right things. I did great in school. I've gone to college. I got a great job and I made a lot of money in my job and I was a high performer at my job. How come the reality that I lived and the reality of the entrepreneurship is so stark? How come it's so different? It's because you're going from a subsidized reality to the reality. So what we see all the time is people do one of those three things. They run. Oh man, forget this entrepreneurship shit. I'm out. I'm going back to work. I'm not messing with it no more. I'm done, which is okay. You know, it's an option. It's okay. I didn't realize it was this hard. I did all the right things and it just didn't translate. Or they fight and you see them fight everybody. They fight us. They fight all the people who are holding them down, the haters. They even fight their customers.
That's not a lie. That's not a lie.
Or they stuck. They freeze. They're just stuck in place. They stuck. They don't know what to do. They're perplexed. And it's the same responses that happened with a deer or with you personally. If somebody run up on you and start windmilling on you, it's the same thing that happens in entrepreneurship when you are faced with reality. People always, what Mike Tyson say, you always got a plan till you get punched in the face. People always say what they gonna do. But if you ever been in a situation where it's went down, you see the separation of the ones who are comfortable with the reality and the ones who just been in a fake reality. So,
yeah, you know, I love the phrase "seems harsh and unbearable." You know, I often look at how we're the generation of television and social media, and we live in a world where things should be this way. It should be easier. It shouldn't have to be this hard. We also in a world where we don't really know where things come from. Like you buy food in the store, you don't really know where. You never seen a chicken lay an egg. You never see somebody kill an animal for food, right? Some of y'all haven't even been fishing, to be strictly honest, right? Some of y'all never shot a gun for survival, right? I'm being like, some of you guys have never lived in the woods for a day or a couple of weeks or months, right? So you've lost so much control, access to reality. I remember somebody, I was listening to this psychiatrist, and she was attacking Dr. Umar. And this is not about the psychiatrist, Dr. Umar. But she made a statement. She said, yeah, women today don't really need men. And I said, okay, that's because, and for men who say, and I also see this in social media where men would almost act like they don't need women. Well, first of all, both of those voices are signs of weaknesses because we need each other. I'm not playing that game. But what I found was interesting about that is because we don't see how, for example, every time you see a new baby being born or every time you see something being invented, thank the woman next to you because all life comes through her. Y'all forgot that, huh? It's kind of like forgotten. Like every time, like if you want to see a future of a black race be healthy, you know it still has to come to the black woman. Right? It's just somehow you just forgot that, right? And black men, like if you're coming home and you have a safe neighborhood, you know, because the men have an agreement. You do understand that, right? Because once men get outside of that agreement, we're a mean ass animal, right? But when society is running really, really well, it means you forget the other one exists. Like life in society is full of men and women presence and our value that we bring. And you know, I was at a women's college recently, and I was talking to the president of the college. I was like, you know, we still view women through the eyes of men. We don't view women through the eyes of women. We still try to compare. You know, we're perfect complements. We get this who's stronger or weaker. No, we're perfect complements. I do not want to be in a world without women. And vice versa. Because we are this perfect, beautiful complement. And I think often it's lost even amongst the gender we're talking about. So a lot of men don't even know their own value. A lot of women don't know their own value. And I think as you start to realize, so then when we give people the harsh reality of value, okay, think about this. Okay, simple. And then we'll move on. When I came out of high school, we had to register for a draft. I think the year I came out was the year they stopped. Understand what a draft is. Okay, think about Jewish men. So when you come out of high school, I think when you come out of high school in Jerusalem, you got to spend 2 years in military before you go to college. You have to serve in the military. When Jerusalem went to war, they called the men back from the United States. Hey, you got to fly back. It's time to go to battle, baby. I don't care about your feelings, your emotions, your desire, your car, the cute girl you're dating. That's a harsh reality. You're going back in an increased probability of death to fight an enemy that is coming at you with what they got. Like, we're so cushioned, so cushioned. As an entrepreneur, that doesn't seem harsh to me because I understand the reality we live in is everything. It's all of that, right? I'm not pessimistic. I'm very optimistic, but it's all of that, and I accept all of that. I know violence and love and birth are part of the same reality I exist in. But this idea the world should just always be this false sense of positivity. False positivity makes you disconnect from reality. Oh, you should be happy. No, you should sit there and understand that feeling because that feeling is giving you some insight. But instead, it's like, oh, just be positive. That means just disconnect from reality. But with us, we'll say, okay, it's real. When you go into business, let's say we're in the exact same business and we're sitting in this teacher's class right now, and he has an opportunity to take my position because I'm neglecting that position. He doesn't neglect his family to say, nah, because, we're close friends. He'll say, nah, they're offering me a position. He'll give me that. Yo, step up, or I'm going to take it. I said, well, no, give me a minute. And then I miss a deadline, and they make an announcement, oh, yeah, by the way, we gave it to Court Smith. If I get mad at him, I've disconnected from reality. If I had the position and I didn't take it, why am I blaming him? That's why in business, we don't blame others for beating us. We say, if you whoop me, you just gave me a lesson on where I need to grow. Because whatever position you took, there's another one coming real soon. And if I wish to secure that future position in business, that means I'm going to have to become better in the area that you brought to my awareness. So it wasn't my time to be successful right now. But some of y'all sit in your private space and just brew on how much you hate this cat now. And that's how cold this game is. Like the harsh reality of reality. Like, okay, another harsh reality. Close your eyes. Everybody in this room is going to be dead within the next 50, 100 years. That's reality. Do you move like that, or do you move with this idea of, I'm going to be here forever, like Disneyland? No. Do you move with that reality? Like, do you realize mama and daddy used to have kids before my grandmother generation? They would have 8 kids because more than half of them were going to die, and they knew that. That's why they had 8. Like, we've been so our reality is so curated, over curated. I mean, y'all want to become entrepreneurs, and how come nobody will give me money? What? Go sell that shit.
Hey, yo, and here's the thing. On your entrepreneurship journey, you are going to come across various types of characters in this game.
Oh, boy.
From honest to straight snakes.
To doorman.
So, to doorman? What's that?
Dudes can tell you about business.
Right. Yeah. So, and everybody in between. Everybody in between. So how do you handle it if you give somebody 5 G's and it was your last 5,000 to perform a particular task or deliver a service for you and they don't do it? What you gonna do? You got duped in a particular deal, or somebody didn't deliver for you, or somebody just straight out lied or stole your idea, stole your joke, stole your design, stole something. How are you gonna move? You walk into the game with understanding the reality that all of that is possible. You can't do it. Morpheus said he's gonna pistol whip him. No.
Yeah, that
You can't pistol whip everybody who do you wrong, Morpheus.
He said a few of them, I'm going to get him with this pistol.
We call it the wild because it's as close to the wild as you're going to get. It's 2 separate entities coming from a curated reality that's been subsidized for you and being out there in the wild. So we have terminologies that associate with the wild because it's a similar feeling. I say, hey, we eat what we hunt. We eat what we hunt. If we don't hunt and we don't kill, we don't eat. Ain't nobody gonna come say, here, There's not going to be a piece of meat laying for us. And that's we train ourselves with that mentality. If we get knocked down or punched in the face or in the stomach then you got to get up. Hey, we got to get up. Because there's times if you got employees or if you have customers where you got punched in the face and in 10 minutes you got to show up and talk to a crowd. Or you got to talk to your employees and they can't feel what you feeling inside.
Oh, dude.
Hey, how y'all doing today? You internally bleeding from some shit that popped off, and you got to still move.
Dude, watch this. So you remember I told you uncertainty can even destroy, not only destroy you, can destroy your company. If you put your employees or your team, your group, your customers in a space of uncertainty, you can lose them all, right? That means as a business person, you got to say what you mean what you say, and be hella consistent. Because this consistency creates a sense of certainty for your employees. You got to get things like, if you say, I plan on doing this, you got to go do it. Even if you don't want to do it, I don't give a shit what happened. You got to get it done. You got to move on that. Because if you keep coming back to your staff with losses and excuses or just don't say anything, they're going to develop this subtle level of uncertainty, and suddenly you have a high turnover rate. Why do these people keep quitting my job? People have to have faith that if you're leading a team, you can lead this shit. But if you're in a situation where, what kind of happened? And I see this checking and jiving a lot in our community. People be like, yeah, I'll be there. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. Oh man, you know what happened? You shouldn't be embarrassed to say that in front of me. You should be embarrassed for yourself that you didn't stick to your word. When I was being raised, the rule was don't give your word if you're not sure you can keep it. Mm-hmm. And if some reason you have to break it, you have to go to that person that you broke it and say, hey, listen, this is what happened. How can I make that up? Because that's how much I value my word. Mm-hmm. And you move on it. So when you're running a company and you move with that inconsistency, because when we say go to the gym and stay consistent with the gym, so you're like, oh, I don't really like the gym like that. And I told y'all last week, grow the fuck up. Life ain't about what you like, right? I'm trying to teach you a ritual of how running a business moves. If you're not always moving in a space, even when you do it, don't like it, to be consistent, you lose everything. Mm-hmm. You can lose everything. And what happens is, if you don't know that rule I just taught there, you're going to blame your employees, you're going to blame your customers, you're going to blame the society, the politics, and it's none of the things above. It's you don't understand the principle of consistency. Consistency builds trust, and it removes the uncertainty from your team. If the team feels certain, they'll fight and die with you. But once the team feels uncertain, like you imagine going to war with a general, they're like, okay, we're going to go over this hill, and we're going to battle. But I ain't never did this shit before, and I'm not sure if we're going to even make it. Watch how many people take off when he take off running. Mm-hmm. They're going to take off running the opposite direction. Because human beings need certainty. It's a basic fuel of our mental survival.
Yeah. So we're in our 10th year of business, and I'll say around year 4, we would every Friday in staff meeting we go over our reports, money. This is how much we made. This is how much we got in a bank account. This is what we throughout the whole staff. And there will be sometimes it's like $4 in there, and for the next week, the whole staff is shook. What do I do? Oh. Am I going to have to get another job? And you will see their output. It would affect their work quality, their everything. So you know what I did? I cut off everybody's access to the numbers. Y'all don't worry about it. Everything's good. The same $4 is in there, but I had to figure it out. Y'all do what you do. I'll take the brunt of that, so you don't even see it. And never again were they able to have access to it. So that as a leader, it's my responsibility to go figure it out. And so you also got to know who's on your squad, what they can handle, what they can't. But at the end of the day, you have to set the tone and be rooted in reality. And if you got a teammate that gets shook when it pops off, then you make sure that they're in the area where they are at their best, and you take on the rest of that. That's how the game go. That's what you signed up for.
Your staff is not your counselor. They're not your psychiatrist. You don't go to them like, man, last week was real hard.
Nah.
Our numbers are off, and last week I had to pay for this, and I'm just so nervous and so uncomfortable. And as you're talking, they be like, yeah, but this one tell you what they say in their head. Yeah, I need to get that other job. I need to get the fuck out of here as soon as I can. This thing got me fucked up.
Right.
Like literally, that's what's happening in their head. So at the end of the day, it's like you got to realize as a leader, you don't say everything to everybody because they need certainty. People don't need to hear all your uncertainty, all your fears, all your concern. You got to get up and make that stuff happen. Now, I would call him because he's not underneath my leadership. So I can call him and be like, yo, man, these numbers looking kind of crazy, man.
Right.
What would you do? And then he can be my counselor because he's my peer. To my staff, I don't give a shit they all have PhDs. We're not having that conversation.
Right.
You don't do that because they're gonna be human. They're not. PhD doesn't take away your human element. It just says that you have deeper level of practice.
Right.
You have deeper level of ownership of knowledge of what you practice. But it doesn't say that somehow you're not going to have the same emotional response. And for the human brain, as soon as it senses it's in danger, its number one goal is to protect you.
Right.
Question for you. 510 does some level of like collaborating with other businesses here and there, and I notice a lot of small businesses will tend to do collaborations with other people in their space. How do you think about any potential collaborations with another business in the same way that you would think about your customer and your staff, or do you take a different approach to that?
There's a different. When we work with other businesses, we're usually having like if court calls me, I call court. We're having a pure honesty, all covers removed. Let's talk straightforward. I'm talking about me and court get really honest, right? And because we have to deal with reality, and so when I know he hears reality, I can talk reality, and I get a reality response. If I have a client that has invested interest in me, I have to protect my brand because brand also matters, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why, like, you would never see Nana at a club showing out. You would never see me on social media cussing people out. Mm-hmm. You would never see me committing immoral acts in society. You would never see me slapping somebody else's kid. I push him down to hit my daughter, but that's it. I hit my daughter. I might have to, yeah, you learn from now. Where your daddy? I'm gonna go slap him. But I even because I have a brand that right now is still attached to my company. Mm-hmm. And even my company, I try to get all the players on my team to uphold a moral code. If they start to break the moral code in society where they're doing something that's very disruptive, I let them go. Because the brand is how I eat. It's like, if R. Kelly came out of prison right now, I know he'll make money behind the scenes, but he probably won't get an Academy Award or a Grammy, right? You probably won't get a Grammy. Right? Because his brand is destroyed. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean he's not talented enough to get a Grammy. He ain't gonna get no Grammy, right? And so what happens is that your brand is part of how the customer feels about you. Not how the customer looks at your data. How the customer feels about you dictates, even when I'm negotiating money. I go to a client, they say 150. I'm at 350 by the time I leave, right? 350,000. That's a lot of emotional dialogue happening in there. It's not just X's and O's. X's and O's have to be so clean on the table that is no longer a reference. Now, how do I feel about this decision I'm about to make? And as I'm priming, shaping that moment, and creating this session, my reputation is part of that conversation. So even that's why we're having these big CEO partnerships, and we're working with a lot of money right now. I'm talking about a lot of money. I told Michelle, you gotta wear suits now. We always dress nice, but no, we gotta wear suits. Because we're now the voice of authority with, $500 million companies, $2 billion companies, just crazy companies now. So you gotta think about that kind of, like, all this shit's important. Like, you don't get to, when you're an entrepreneur, you don't get to be everybody. I would never be online with a drink in my hand. I don't drink at all, but if I drank, I wouldn't do it. If I smoke weed, I would never be online. This some good shit here, boy. I swear to God, boy. right? I would never be online talking about, damn, she thick. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Also, once you become an entrepreneur, you are fighting for leadership, society leadership title, right? So because I'm jockeying for that title, that means I got to move like a leader at all times, even in my private spaces. When one dude said, "I want you to act like Coretta Scott King," I kind of understood what he was saying. I kind of understood. I mean, he may give a poor reference, but when you're trying to do something in a leadership role in society, I need you not to move like a certain kind of way. I'm not saying I'm not dealing with the accuracy because I don't know the accuracy. So I'm not trying to. I'm saying that the social response to he asked the white girl to be like Coretta Scott King. I get what he was saying. You could play the word game, but at the end of the day, the man is saying, because of who I am, you need to move a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
And his description might have been the worst ever, but his point was highly accurate. And so even when you choose somebody as you dating, if you okay, I'm talking to the men for a second, and I could talk to the women because I know some women would choose the hood dude that y'all know y'all wrong. Huh? No, yeah. Even Josh, Josh says because he's Jewish, he must count. So Josh, you count. But when you choose your partner, your mate, it's probably one of the most important decisions you can ever make. You choose the wrong person in your life, the amount of time and attention and money and brand destruction they would create can kill you.
Your house is dirty.
It can kill you. So when I say, like, if I'm dating a woman and she's wilding in public, I can't be with you. When I first started building my business, first beginning of IT Media, this is the beginning. And this is a girl I met, amazing looking, amazing. Every way you can think of amazing. We go to a supermarket. Now we rolling now, right? We rolling. We're in a supermarket. She's about 50 feet away. Hey, what do you want? You want this or not? This is the last day. This is the last day right here. This is the last day. Last day. I'm not about to have this conversation with you. I can't do that. By the way, that's some insight on you that if you're on the other side of this conversation, you want to date somebody who's very strong or very powerful, know that the roles we play is based upon the roles we play in society. Like the roles are still valuable. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, as a leader, as the 1%, this is how you got to think. You are the curator. You are the subsidizer. You don't get subsidized. You are the subsidizer.
Oh, come on, man. That's tight.
So make sure that the realities that you create in your environment, you're creating an ecosystem. So you don't get to express your feelings to your employees or to your customers or your frustrations to because you are curating, you're subsidizing an environment. So part of that subsidy is emotional subsidy. You're subsidizing their emotions too, how they feel, the workplace, the motivations, everything in that environment. You just aren't being subsidized by it. So I think of it, the way somebody broke it down to me was like, hey, Court, this is the way I want you to think about it. If you in a bed sleep, and your daughter's in the other room, and you heard a noise, and it was a big noise. It wasn't like a scratchy noise. It was a big noise, like, oh, shit, that's something. And your daughter came in and said, Daddy, what's that noise? Are you going to say, daughter, there possibly be somebody breaking in that could possibly kill us all. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm about to grab a weapon and see if I can defend us. Do you say that? Or do you say, don't worry about it, honey. Everything's okay. Just go back in your room. Or just come in the room with me and get in this bed and stay right here. Everything's going to be okay. Right? That's what we all do, right? You don't divulge your fears to your daughter because she's like, well, Daddy, what you here for then?
I'm sorry, daughter. Daddy screaming?
Right. That's the same energy you got to keep as a leader, as an entrepreneur. That's the energy you keep. No, hey, daughter, stay here. I'm gonna go get help.
Save yourself.
Right. But the energy you keep is as an entrepreneur, it's that same energy. So just keep that in mind. You're the curator. You're the subsidizer. Your job is to create the ecosystem, and you got to carry that weight for all the people that work for you or your customers and everything. If your customers have a complaint with your product or services, you have to make them feel like, hey, I got you. Don't worry. We're going to make sure everything is taken care of. And by the end of this, we got you. That's the game. Next slide.
Also, I want to say that I don't date hood guys anymore, okay? So stop bringing it up.
I wasn't
I'm
talking to
Team
you, I
Square now. I only listen to hood music every now and then. Nah, I'm cured.
But it's crazy. Like, when I see a lot of powerful black women, your partner over there clapping.
She playing games.
But I'm saying, but you know what's a trip? I see a lot of powerful black women, and I'm not gonna blame them because it's way more complex than it looks, and it's way more complex. And I one of these days maybe I can talk about it. But when you see these powerful women dating some of the most hooded, dangerous dudes in the world, and you sit there going, that ain't gonna be a good look. That won't be a good look. But once again, it's not as simple. And I think, and to be very clear, I don't want this to become a black women. To me, whatever you find wrong with black women, the same thing wrong with black men. And what you find wrong with black men, the same thing wrong with black women. We got work to do. And to play the symptom games, you got more symptoms than me, is a waste of the conversation. I think that's a waste of most. It's entertaining. I understand why it's attractive, because depending on how you feel, especially if you just broke up with somebody, you just can't wait to sit in that conversation. But the reality is that once you understand how things work, it's not that simple. So I think black women are amazing. I think black men are amazing. I'm a people lover. So at the end of the day, it's like I would never play that game. Go ahead.
Next slide.
Well, that was it, right?
Why are you here?
Yeah.
All right. Why are you here? Why are you here? This is a fundamental, as y'all know. This comes up at the beginning of every year, every time.
It's your brand.
Because this is a big one. Let's go. Let's read the rest of it, and then we'll talk more.
The strength of your answer determines the strength of your resolve. This game has to be played with such long-term veracity only a person with a strong purpose can endure. If you find yourself losing emotional momentum to continue, sit with this question and find bigger whys.
So, I got a question for you. I think we should start with whoever's holding the mic first. Why are you here as an entrepreneur? And why are you here in this class? Let's pass it around.
Okay, I guess I had the mic. I go. By the way, that was a great Kevin Hart. My entrepreneurialism goes far back, and it's rooted in watching my parents work their whole lives, breaking their bodies all the way down and left with shit. And I decided a long time ago when I was a kid that there was a different path for me. And so as a youngster, it started with the hustling. We used to steal. We used to temporarily borrow.
Go ahead with the steal.
We used to steal Sunday newspapers and then go up to the supermarket and sell them back to people. Like that type of hustling back and forth. And we just kind of got into habits of having a product and selling it. Of course, that went into all kind of different directions. So why fast forward to why I'm here today. I have more capacity to focus back on what I really want to do, which is build that brand. I have more fire and more clarity of what I want to do with this brand. And the distractions. I'm getting, you're talking about cleaning that house. I was literally cleaning up my house before I had to jump on that tube and get up over here. So there's huge opportunities right here in front of me, right now. I don't have any other thing in front of me except to go after it. And this is why I'm back over here with
He
you.
got me fired up.
Yeah.
Pass it around. Pass it
tight.
to somebody. Maybe you go.
Give it Ty. Ty, I don't know why you grab the mic all the time. Come on. If you ask him to do a rap, he'd grab that mic.
No, I wouldn't. I cannot rap. Why am I here? Well, one, I've been rocking with this for a long time. I've been rocking with 510 and Hope for a cool minute. My why has changed over the course of time. It was one thing when I started, but when he just spoke, it brought me back to a time when I was out there doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. And the same grit now and the entrepreneurial spirit that I'm in now is the same. The passion is the same. It's just a different venue. And one of the things that's really cool is that when I started 510 and coming here to Hope, I had a whole, if I remember the first day, I had a pad. I knew you was going to give us a syllabus, and that's what I was going to be doing like I was back in college, right? And y'all was going to teach me about getting my business proposal together. Y'all was going to teach me about, in the very first day, I was like, well, shit, that's not going to happen. All right? So, and after about the first couple of months, I realized that I didn't know anything about where I wanted to be. And it kind of fast forward to why I'm here now, and the reason I keep coming back, because I tell people about this class, and some of them are online right now. And one of the things that I tell them is it changed me as a human being, right? Because I stopped thinking about, it's funny, when you stop thinking about the money and you start thinking about the chase and you start thinking about the energy that you need to go out here and actually even talk to people and work with them. Some of the things in the books that I've read, I've come across, it's taught me so much about who I am and how to be compassionate and how to be empathetic and how to live a different life. So now my why is, let me represent myself in the right way and show my people how to represent themselves. And I live that. And the people that I surround myself with now, sometimes I'm a teacher, sometimes I'm the student. But every day I wake up living in a life of learning. I tell my friends now, if we're gonna talk, just understand. What do I say? I say, I seek to understand before being understood. And it's been one of the biggest things, but I learned that in this class. And so my why is to kind of help bring us along, right?
tight.
To kind of do what you guys are doing, but do it in a way that I know how.
That's tight.
And so my company is because the reason it's built up and I'm getting what I'm getting right now is because I've sat in this class and actually studied you guys and I listened.
Right on.
That's
So-
fire. DJ's my guy. He's been with us. He works at Courtsmith. Been with us for 3 months. One of the most incredible young black men that I know. Very intelligent. He's the reason. He's part of my why. But go ahead.
I'm here because I got redirection from basketball. I played college ball about 6-7 months ago. I tore my meniscus, and it kind of switched my reality. Being on bed rest for 4 months, not doing the simple thing of being able to shower by myself, it really humbled me and put a reality that anything can be taken away from you in a snap of a finger. I've always been very intelligent and smart, and I've always knew that about myself. Unfortunately, the injury made me realize that I didn't need basketball as much as I thought, and I could navigate through the world without it. So the reason why I'm here, I've been an entrepreneur and a business savvy kid ever since I met Court. Making like little deals with him, like, hey, if I get MVP this tournament, can I get a T-shirt? So yeah, I've always been business savvy. Used to resell shoes because, like my whole growing up story, like we didn't have really anything, house to house and stuff. So I've always tried to make a way for myself. Never try to make an excuse. But my why right now is just trying to be around like-minded people because I'm 21 and it's not a lot of people that have the same intent and mindset that I have, or they kind of think it's a joke. Like, oh, why are you so serious? I get that a lot. So I think for me being here is just, like I said, being around like-minded people that I can grow from, learn, that can hold me accountable as well, because I'm big on accountability for myself. And yeah, that's kind of my why. I just want to be the blueprint for my community and build something bigger than me, to the point where I can employ like my friends and family that don't have the resources to go to school, or, so my why is bigger than me. I want to be the staple for my family, because like no one went to college, really. It's just no one really look up to, and I want to be that guy. I will be that guy. So
That's tight.
yeah,
That boy,
that's my why.
savage.
I ain't going nowhere until this goes somewhere. I will be here forever. So I started off in Hope before it was Hope. And there's so many reasons why I'm here, but I think that the reason why I will never go anywhere is because of what you guys represent. I'm like getting emotional. That's crazy. I didn't even think I was getting emotional. This is the first place in my life that I have been not just surrounded, but supported and encouraged and pushed by like dope ass Black people. Like, never in my life have I ever been in a room full of Black people prior to Hope and not had to have my head on a swivel, to not have to worry if something was gonna pop off, to not have to feel like I'm in an unhealthy competition. And it's not only changed my business. One, I wouldn't have a business without this class. I was just a little hustler. I was the jack of all trades. I didn't want to stay focused on anything. I wanted to be the person that opened 3 businesses at once and think I could really do that shit, right? Yeah. But if I had to narrow it down, I would say that I am here this year because I need to constantly be exposed to staying curious, to rewiring the way that I think, because that's what's required of me to move to the next level, and to have peers that I can check myself against so that I can continue to be a good leader, because I have volunteered my space to be in a leadership position even when I don't want to be. And so I have to move humbly and graciously and earn that right to continue to be a leader.
Thank you. That was dope. No, I gotta grab that.
Why I'm here now.
Oh God.
So I started Hope years ago. I left there. I had a lot going on. And I started working with Nana. When was that? Like,
had you down?
huh?
Nothing.
What had me down?
Nothing. No. No, go ahead.
I started working with Nana, doing some stretch and stuff, and we would have these like brief little talks in between his breathing exercises. And
She stretched me, bro. It's masculine. It was masculine. No, you gotta get stretched.
it was
stretch.
totally
don't
masculine.
Try to go nowhere.
Totally.
Yeah,
You was
professional stretch
dope.
artist.
Like,
Yeah,
totally
it's like,
masculine.
when you got this many muscles, I know you don't have no muscles, but when you got this kind of muscle, you gotta keep this stuff stretched. If you ever work out, you'll see what happened. But you eat fat food, you don't have to stretch that much. You
Because
good.
Shamara stretch NFL players and stuff.
Yeah, she's stretching the NFL player, but
You ain't gotta defend
yeah,
to
I'm
a guy
saying-
like that.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I know. I'm not gonna doubt. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
word.
Go ahead.
So we had these talks, and he was just like, even though I wasn't coming to Hope anymore, he would like just kind of lay these little nuggets on me, and we would have little talks, and he'd give me a few books to read, and I'm just like, wow, this is really cool. Then one day we were talking, and you said to me, how come you never sing? How come nobody knows that you sing? And I was like, what? That's not something I go around telling people. And you were like, well, how the fuck people supposed to know who you are? And I was like, what? Don't come at me like that. But we had built up rapport enough, I think, in class before. If you had said that to me, I'd have been like, I'm not coming back, Shabisha, thank you. But we had built up enough rapport that you were like, people don't know you. And they only know what you do and what you show them. And so you have to start letting people see who you are. And I realized that that had everything to do with where my business was as well. That I like being in my little room, doing my little thing with my clients. It's wonderful and it's beautiful, but it's not a viable way to grow and push out what I want to push out into the world. I always tell people when they ask me what is it that I want to do, what's my why, is I want to help people do whatever comes next. When you feel good in your body, you don't have those aches and pains which people live with that they don't always have to. You feel better. You act better. You're a better person around people because you just feel better. Those endorphins start flowing and you feel better, so you want to do better. And I love helping people do that. But if I want to help more people, they have to know I exist. And so that's a whole mindset thing that I'm working through. And the fact that I've talked this long is proof that I'm doing better. So that's why I'm here.
Good job.
What's up, everybody? Basically, I'm here just to be supportive more than anything. Nana invited me, so I just started to see what how I could be supportive, give back, and what I could learn from. I like to be isolated a lot, so this is also kind of coming out of my comfort zone and see what I could, what I could learn from to help myself and others. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell, though, yeah.
Dope. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Even liking the video, whatever, adding the channel, just whatever, just being here. This is all new, so yeah, I appreciate you guys having me here.
For sure,
man, I'm glad you're here, fam.
Glad you're here.
Good brother that likes to be in your show. Can we know your name?
I got a lot of different names. If you want the business name, it's gonna be Will James. If you want August, Giannis, I got a whole bunch of names. But Will, Will is cool for now. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I
appreciate
will.
All right. You got something?
Online said, I'm here as an entrepreneur because, this is Veronica. She said, I'm here as an entrepreneur because I originally needed a way to lower my taxable income. Now I love the idea of building my own income. I'm in this class to grow and become the best version of myself.
Dope.
And then there's a brother, his name is Morgan. He's from Ashland, Southern Oregon. Ashland's in the southern part of Oregon. Manny told him about the class. He is the one black business that he's aware of in his city of 250,000 people. He don't know anybody else.
Hey, get him, baby.
Whoop their ass.
He says as soon as the notification sounds, he jumps on here because he doesn't have anything like this where he is.
Wow.
So he's
Man,
really
come on.
grateful that we
Yeah.
have this, that he can tap into. He's been in business for 12 and a half years, getting ready to open a second location.
Go ahead.
So needs help. Just needs to plug in and
tight.
tap in.
That's super tight.
Go get it.
His business is called Northwest Pizza and Pasta Co.
Go
get 'em.
Everybody stop by there and get some of that pizza.
Go get them.
Kaja said, I'm here because the compounding interest of being here is moving me closer to my purpose. Since I'm talking, I'll say I'm here because I've done a lot of stuff as an individual, and it was great when it was great. But the idea that I could even have impact beyond just myself is something that's new to me, and it's been sort of simmering since I've been a part of Hope. I come from the beauty and fashion space, and even though I thought I didn't love it, I realized I really do love it. But what I realized more than anything is I somehow have created this ecosystem of people who are amazing and dope and talented at what they do. And my dream is that Black people in beauty and in fashion who want to tap into not just consultants, but like thinkers who can help them elevate their business and to be in a community so that they're not isolated. Because what I see is that, going back to the fish slide, we can get on the shelf, but we can't stay. And I think that I can do something about that because I've been meeting people who are doing it and doing it well, and also who want to give back. So my dream is, can there be an ecosystem where we can put Black thinkers forward, where we can put Black suppliers forward that perform excellently, so that there is a richer source for us to pull from that's not on Google and not on the internet, but it's really from people who do it. Because I would like to see not just Black businesses get on the shelf in a Sephora. I would like to see them stay, and I would like to see them build, and I would like to see more Carol Daughters. I would like to see more Miels. I would like to see more Topicals. I want to see more of us on those shelves killing it, and I think we can. We're just a little too fragmented, and my dream is to create a space where it's a one-stop shop for us to go so that we don't get kicked out of the game because of what we don't understand.
So real quick, before you pass the microphone, can you just share, because you get a chance to watch Black businesses
Yeah.
from a finance level or from the some of the money side, can you kind of give us, without no names to be included, because you have to protect your their privacy and your relationships, but can you just share with us kind of a big picture view, tying into that conversation we had earlier about the current state and what you see happening with Black businesses? I think we talked about this in our last one-on-one conversation, but if you could give us about 1 or 2 minutes of just kind of drop a couple of jewels on us.
There are a lot of Black businesses that are failing. A large number, especially, so I'll speak specifically from my space, from a wellness, beauty, fashion space. A lot of us launched businesses during the pandemic, and there was a lot of money to go around. Now, on this side of the pandemic, they're shuttering. They're not able to fulfill orders. They're not able to do a lot of things. Some of them come from the industry like I did, but they weren't responsible for all of it. And so they have failed. And when I see that, it's heartbreaking, because I think that if we could have gotten them with the right people, we could have helped them stay on those shelves. And so these were people who were all over the place. They were in every magazine. They were on every website. They had the mic. And they haven't been able to even make it on this side of the pandemic because they didn't understand how to position themselves well. And so I could share with you all publications of, you have Unilever, these people, they had these big programs, they're closing them. The businesses, they're going off the shelf. This is all happening within 3 years. I watched them rise, and I'm seeing them fall, like just that fast. And we're talking at least 10 businesses. I saw Target go through the same thing with all these Black hair brands. They've moved them off the shelf. You can't really find them anymore. So I'm watching this happen in real time, how all of these businesses are just shuttering. They're getting put out of the stores. If they get in the stores, they get in there for maybe 3 months and then they're out. There's just no durability or any sustainability. And so for me, it's really devastating to watch.
Real talk.
Does anybody else, you want the mic?
Okay. Somebody pass the microphone.
Let's pass it to him.
Thank you.
Turn that one off that you got. Turn that one off.
What
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Okay.
Okay.
the why? Your two whys.
The whys. So I've been hearing about Hope since my beautiful, lovely sister works with you guys, and she's been telling me forever, like, you got to come to this class. And I am a person, well, I will say I was a person who always had her purpose, who always had the why, who lived in that fake God knowledge of everything. And I broke my ankle last year, and my whole world just crumbled. I learned reality. And she kept saying, like, you gotta come to Hope. And I'm like, nah. She's like, you gotta come here. It's really dope. I'm like, nah. I didn't want to be around people. And I came here. And the why is because this is a really, really amazing class. Like, you guys are both super dope. I'll give you that. I like the fact that I got to give you that, because I've never met nobody, and I say this all the time, is that I never met somebody who, I'm not going to say you have it all, because you always say, like, you don't have it all. But to look at you guys, you're where you want to be. And you don't have to, I'm getting all emotional. Yeah, I got emotional real bad, y'all. Emotional things been on my shoulder lately. But it's like, you guys, you don't have to do what you do. You don't have to reach out to us. You don't have to answer emails. Sorry. You don't have to just be how you guys are. And I really appreciate it, because there's moments where I don't want to be around people, and I don't want to talk to people, and I'm a people's person. And you guys are, after I lost my why, I lost my purpose to be in this class. I am learning my why. I am seeing my purpose. Shut up. I'm learning my why. I'm seeing my purpose. I'm understanding the things that I went through and why I did it. And I'm a clean surface. And I know sometimes I'll bug Nana a little more, like, thanks, dear. I'll bug Nana like, hey, I need to know this about class. And when he responded to my email, I'm not gonna lie, I got emotional, because I said, I am just a piece of glitter in the paint. I can't sew into him like he's sewing to all of us in this class, but he took the time to set a plan for me. And I'm always the one that helps. I don't get a lot of help. And this year, God has placed me in places where people have helped me. And my why is just to be a better person. And you guys are feeding me to be that person. I'm not living in a disreality. I live in reality. And it's building me back and building me up. And I don't think I would want to be anywhere else on my Wednesday. And this is air, so I can't tell y'all about my physical therapy. I'll be in every Wednesday. So I made sure, I told my physical therapist, I said, I need Wednesday. He said, well, I only got an early Wednesday. No, a late Wednesday. I said, no, you got to move me around, because I need Wednesday away from my job to be in this class, because I don't want to be nowhere else. I could be at Bible study with my dad, Daddy, I love you, but I want to be here because I'm learning so much, and I'm able to go to my grandbaby and tell her, she's my why. And Nana asked me that one time. He said, what's your why? And I said, oh, my grandbaby. And he said, no, for real. And I said, looked at my grandbaby. But the way he broke it down, it let me know that she wasn't my why at that time, because if she was my why, I would move differently. And, you know, that's my why I'm here, is for my purpose and to be a better person. She pulling my coat like I pull hers at church. But to be a better person, and just grateful that you guys are here and do what you do. And that's for all you guys. And, you know, I love y'all. For real.
I know. We love you too.
Yeah. You got to say why you're here.
I'm here because my boss makes me be here. My best friend is here. I'm trying to be an example to my baby sister who has started the journey. No. In all reality, I do have to be here, though. Okay, all jokes aside, I don't consider myself an entrepreneur, but I do believe myself to be a leader. So I feel like this space just kind of took me out of the pond that I thought I was really owning and swimming in, and made me recognize that it was just a pond and there's a whole ass ocean. So for me, it's just taking on new ways of thinking, challenging myself, not being the smartest person in my circle or at the table, and really putting myself around people that are going to challenge me to show up in the fullness of who I am. Because I feel like in a lot of previous spaces, there was only versions of me showing up. So for me, it's just a wonderful space to be cultivated in. And I do have to be here, though. Thank you.
Hey, you guys got to hear a lot of people's whys. A lot of people's whys.
There's more whys. Sorry. Our sis from Daphne's Bridal said, I'm here because hope is filling in the gaps and answering the questions I've had for so long. Cassandra's online. She said, I'm here because I've always loved learning, and this class has taught me how to love thinking. No, how to love tinkering, sorry. How to love tinkering. And I love that I'm learning through experience and how it's allowed me to serve people. And Tone Vic said, I'm here in class to continue to be a student, grow my business, and learn how to be better, do better, and, help those around me. And I love learning from Court and Nana. Okay, we got them all.
I love it, man. That's
dope.
fire.
That's dope.
Man, look, and when you share your whys with your group, you get to feel what each other's feeling, their purpose, why they're here. Real quick, why you here, bro?
The simple answer is I love black folks to death. I'm black, and I'm who I am is because of y'all, and I'm no greater than y'all, and as well as my kids are y'all, and I love my kids. So because I love black folks so much, living for something greater than myself makes life so much better. And it was criminal. You don't realize how many people don't see you in this world. A lot of people can't see our community. A lot of people have good intent. There's a lot of good people from all races surrounding us that they can't see us. And self-help, some people are doing it because they really think it's a solution. Some people are doing it for some shady shit. But a lot of that stuff is just, like we said earlier, it's about making decisions, a lot of decisions. And I didn't see nobody feeding our growing our decision making capabilities. And then in my company, I work on really big strategies with large groups of people. And I work with a lot of system science, evolution science, behavior science. I'm working with a lot of different models and strategies, but in real time with real people. And the shit I'm working on, I can listen to a self and go, I can't use any of this shit. I can't use it, right? And so when I built this class, and then last, somehow it got we lost, because mind you, we were working class in the 60s, 70s. So as we try to convert into this working class, a lot of us have opportunities our parents didn't have. But one thing we missed was when other races built economic structure, they also built clubs. Isolation kills you. Like, any friction my circle gives me is welcome, because once I start thinking I know a lot, I'm on a path of destroying whatever I built. So I need people in my circle that say, hey man, but have you thought about, right? For you to even believe that you can guess 100 out of 100, the right decision is a God complex, right? You have to know that you need diversity in a group of people to help you even be able to properly think. You as an individual are not qualified to build by yourself a large institution. Now, that's a limitation I'm gonna speak firmly on. Like even when somebody tells a story, I was at this meeting with some highly advanced educated people. And somebody said, I raised my students to change the world. And I say, no, I told a student that by going to this college, you might be able to change the world. And I said, you really believe that? She said, yeah. And I didn't go any further because as a client, like I told you, I can't be purely honest. But there's no such thing. Every time we tell stories, we focus on the hero of the story. We don't see the background players. We never see them. You know, talk about Steve Jobs as if he just put everything together himself, went to the room all by himself, packaged everything himself, melted himself, drove it over there himself, right? Returned it himself, answered the phone call, how can I help you? Well, I'm packaging these packages, right? Like, no. And he raised his kids by himself, fed himself, built his own house. No. That's the part that blows my mind. We don't realize that we're always part of a herd. To not choose is a choice. And a passive chooser has a life they didn't ask for. So what you have to realize, you have to be intentional by creating a circle around you that helps you make better choices, because your greatness comes from outsourcing to the group, not the individual. But too many of us are living this traumatized, responsive story of, I'm going to change everything and I'm going to make the world different by myself. Yeah. And it will make us, it's a really feel-good moment that is never going to happen, that you're going to realize that, could you rise to the top of something and your name gets mentioned in history more than anybody else, like Martin Luther King? Yes. But while Martin Luther King was doing Martin Luther King, he realized it wasn't just about Martin Luther King. And that's the distortion. It's like the hindsight has become the foresight, and we're all moving with the foresight as all I need to do is I. And then Nana can get lazy. Nana can stick to video games, good food, and pretty women and die. I can just do that to my day. If you just keep that going over and over and over, I wouldn't have no reason personally to ever change. But what pulls me forward is not me. Because me's selfish. It can be, I don't even nobody bother me when playing video games. Leave me alone. Put my headset on, I'm good. What pulls me forward is the people I look at. When I walk outside my house and I see problems and challenges, I have this thing called efficacy. Efficacy says you feel you can solve the problem, right? But I never confuse efficacy with heroism. Every entrepreneur has to have efficacy. So if you see a problem in front of you, you start to say, I can do that. That's efficacy, right? You should raise your children to believe that if you see a problem, I know you can solve it. Efficacy. Many of us that's the destroyed in modern day society by social justice, by the way. But there's a difference between efficacy and egotistic heroism. You see the difference? And so when I see my people every day, every problem I see, every challenge I see, every little pretty face I see smiling, it wakes me in the morning and go, yeah, I love going to work. And even my daughter talks about me in this role. She says, Dad, you're working to save our people, huh? Dad, you're here to protect me, huh? Aww. And my chest be so, y'all think this is from bodybuilding. It's from loving my daughter. My chest done grown. So in the end of the day, it's like, I know that felt like a humble brag, huh? But it wasn't. It really wasn't. It wasn't love for my daughter, but when I rolled that back, I was like, yeah. It was pretty. No, look, Ty, you can't talk. Yeah, okay, it can be both. There you go, Shakina. Work with your boy. Anyway, but the point is this: my love for my people is so strong. It's so crazy strong. It's, and you know who gave it to me? And it's my last point. When I was 4 or 3, no 4. No, 5. It was 5. Because you this old, you don't forget all them goddamn years. But I have to attach it to moments in my life. When I was 5, you know what my grandmother used to make me do? Because mind you, the first year I was born, Martin Luther King was still alive. By the time I turned 2, Martin Luther King was killed. My great grandmother who raised me, because my mother she was wilding a little bit. Right? My mother was that girl. My great grandmother who raised me, she used to make me remember all of Martin Luther King's speeches. And she used to tell me that's a great man, and she would tell me that's somebody I should look up to as a man, and she used to tell me all the time, she would say, I know you're 5, but you will be the man in the house soon. And she would tell me how to act, how to carry myself, but she would always point out Martin Luther King as somebody as a model, and before I even knew what a model was. So I knew all of his speeches, I didn't know what the words meant. I could just say it just like him and even imitate his accent. I still didn't know what it meant, right? But I think she planted a seed in me to say, hey, you're responsible for your community. Not knowing, this shit's cold. Not knowing that's a gift to my manhood. My manhood comes from serving you.
Dope. Next slide. My why. Let's start with, some of it's going to sound piggyback-ish because I share some whys, but my first why is I absolutely love black people. Absolutely love.
He
black
absolutely
people.
does.
And black women, to me, have always been the closest thing, like God, black women, because that's who raised me. So, you typically will have that complex as a kid when your mother raises you and you see her struggle, right? So my first real ambition to build came from wanting to help my mom. We was in the hood and she didn't have nothing. We didn't have nothing, very little. So she did the best she could after my parents split. So I was like, I got this. Like 7th grade, I'm like, don't trip. I got my school clothes, lunch money, everything. You ain't got to trip on me. I'm going to figure it out. And that started my hustle mentality of like being a hustler. So you can catch Court, like 12-year-old Court, you can catch him doing all kind of stuff to get money. But it was from the desire to help my mom. And so that was the first real driver in my why of like, ooh, I can't wait to get you up out of here. We're going to get you out the hood. And whether I was seeped in reality or not, it didn't matter, but it created a real hard drive in me. But I have a almost equally desire to be there and support black men too, because a lot of times our lives have been devastated through crack and all the things that hit our community so hard. We get hit the hardest because that's what they're supposed to do, attack us. So seeing how ravaged we were and how debilitating we were, my goal has always been, how can we come together? Because this is our group. This is who we are. And the thing is, as long as my skin color is this and your skin color is that and yours, we on the same squad. So I'm a teammate at this point. What value can I add to the team to where we represent who we are and grow our consciousness and our money and our values and everything together? So I have a mutual determination to help our culture, whatever way I can. And when I got a job, I thought I made it. I made it out the hood. It's cool. So now I'm bought a house in San Leandro. You know what I'm saying? Like in 1997, I'm in San Leandro. But I would go back to my friend's house into the hood, and they couldn't get out. So I would sit there feeling super bad, like, damn, I want to buy a bucket just to like when I go visit, because I got a new car, I got to do. So I start feeling that remorse, like, man, what I got to do? So I start trying to put my friends on. Couldn't put none of my friends on. One. And so the entrepreneurship vessel for me is a multifaceted vessel to not only help immediate, but it's a value to the culture. And like he mentioned earlier, 99%, 1%, whoever controls commerce helps control community and culture and power and even religion. True. And everything. So if our economic power is like this, then the goal has to be to expand it so we can give ourselves more power. So, I mean, I got lots and lots of whys, but I think those two are the main ones, is that my goal is to, when I'm croaked and growing daisy somewhere, dead and gone, I want to have been able to make an impact on our community, and that's part of why I'm here. So,
can I say something real quick? First of all, he really loves black people. Like, I thought I was one of the most, like, I have a small circle of folks, like Mashama loves the hell out of black people. If you hang out with this cat one-on-one, it's gonna come up 1,000 times. And I ain't talking about like that weird, like he's possessed with it, right? But let me say something real quick, because, okay, I don't code switch. I'm black at all times. I don't sound different at any times. Now, I do play roles. Meaning that when I'm running my company, I have a role. As a father, I have a role. As a mate, I have a role. As friends, so when I move to the side, you have to change roles. I don't code switch. I'm none at all times. I sound like none at all times. I don't tighten my butt cheeks up and get a high pitched tone voice and hit soprano voices. I don't do that shit, right? I don't buy into the philosophy, because a lot of black folks who went through a lot in our life, a lot of us bought into the idea that by separating from blackness, maybe I can escape this pain. I don't. I run towards blackness, okay? But there's something that woman said, no, Danielle said this weekend, dope as hell. I looked at Danielle and said, okay, you trying to drop some jewels on her brother. Danielle said, we was in a conversation with women, and she said, when are we going to stop seeing women as a limitation?
Listen.
The word women doesn't mean you can't. It's a starting point, right? I'm saying this for a reason, because I look at a lot of super pro-black circles, and they're suffering. Because they also poison themselves with, if it ain't black, they won't even talk, they won't read a book from a white person because they be like, ugh, right? Court, as well as I could tell you, we got hella people from other races who ride hard with us. And we ride with them, right? Because they share common goals, right? And the love is real. Being super black doesn't mean you hate, it's that silly ass shit. You don't hate other races. Now, I don't go and try to get white people to accept me. That's not my goal. If you don't fuck with me, I don't fuck with you. I don't really care. I don't need white people like that, right? But I would tell you, when you perform in higher level in business, there's gonna be a lot of white people be like, yo, I'm so glad you're in the room. Thank you. And they're gonna give you some big hugs, they're gonna mean it. Some are gonna have some serious come to Jesus moments with you where you're sitting there going, they will tell you about some things you're like, I didn't know that existed, right? But the key thing is that don't ever make your blackness your limitation. Make it your power. Once you make it your limitation, you're stuck in your own limitation. Look, I always tell black people, look, if you're going to impact black culture, don't do it with your net, do it with your gross. I see some of us wearing all of our blackness on the front of our business and nobody's coming in. Like, we literally telling everybody else, don't come in only if you are, you even telling some black people don't come in. You saying, only if you wearing a dashiki, come to this door. Only if in the last 6 weeks you sharpened a spear, walk to this door, right? That doesn't translate, right? If you love black folks, you gotta love all of them, right? I mean, even if Candace Owens come to your door, you gotta give her the same service you gave the brother and sister who align with your values and beliefs, right? If a white person walks through your door, okay, think about this. Anybody who walks through your door is blessing your business. So they gonna bless you and then you gonna treat them like shit, right? And if you think you're gonna move in business, America was 77% or 75% white. Now it's down to 69 or like in the higher 60% white. You think you're really gonna move in business and not run across white people?
You tripping.
And by the way, a lot of Latino folks ride with us for real, for real. I've had a Latino woman took a position and said, hey, by the way, when we hired Fight Media into this company, let's make sure we don't let them be framed as a DEI option. I said, that's what the fuck I'm talking about. Right? I got Asian women who ride like hell with me. I'm talking about like ride with us. Like, no, you gonna get this money. Now, let me be very clear. Black women are the superheroes of my company. Because my biggest contracts of all time, black women going to corporate America and be coming out with bruises talking about, I got the bag for you, baby. Right? So at the end of the day, I love black women. Black women gave me game on like things I would never knew from the outside. No, let me put you aside. This is how it goes down. Change this, flip this, turn this around. You got this on lock. So don't get me wrong. I love my people, but loving my people doesn't mean that I'm compromised. Right? Like I told my daughter said, I love daddy, I love all people. I said, it's cool, but just make sure you take care of your own first. Just as I expect everybody else to do. I don't expect a white man to starve his own kids to make sure I got food in my stomach. And vice versa. But this earth has enough of all of us, so why he's not my daddy. So I go get my own food. That was that slide earlier. So I want to say that because sometimes I think some of us turn blackness into a trauma expression and then it becomes our limitation or continues to deepen our wounds, as opposed to turn it into a booster to turn you into that superhero that could change your own world.
Yeah, that's a great point. So real quick, there's a couple things. And this will allow you to see the world through that lens. Is the first thing that you have to do in any situation when it comes to reality is you have to first accept where you are. Self-acceptance. Self-acceptance says, this is who I am, and I accept it. Self-acceptance. This is my situation, and I accept it. Self-acceptance. This is what my bank account look like. This is what the situation, this is how much debt I'm in. This is what I've done. Whatever it is, once you learn to accept everything, accept it. Now you root yourself in reality. Like the in your mind world we live in, like I can be whatever I want to be in my mind. Not for an entrepreneur. Not if your life, if you're subsidizing others but not your own life. You have to be rooted in reality, and that starts with self-acceptance. The next one is self-forgiveness. You got to be able to forgive yourself for what you are, what you not, what you have, what you don't have, all the things that you thought you were supposed to have and you didn't, or where you thought you were supposed to be and you not. You got to forgive yourself for that, because that's the next part of rooting yourself in reality and allowing the third part, which is self-love. Self-love says, man, I love myself. I love my blackness. I love whatever race or ethnicity that I am. I love it. Once you learn to love yours, it's way easier to love others.
Man, come on.
I can love all cultures.
It's real love.
I genuinely love and am grateful for, am interested in other cultures. Because to me, the pieces in life on my life journey that I've been stuck on, I've got answers in other cultures' philosophies. So if it wasn't for Indian or Asian philosophies or Chinese philosophies or even white folks' philosophies or Latin cultures' philosophies, those were the puzzle pieces I was missing in life. That if I was so stuck in my world and I didn't branch out and study, then it wouldn't have gave me my life answers that I need. So, man, I love even Jewish philosophy. If you studied the Kabbalah or any of those books or understand those cultures, you realize how much game they got, and it allows you to be like, oh, I'm going to take some of that, and I'm going to take some of that, and I'm going to take some of that over here, and it creates a superpower. If you just blackety black and stuck on black, and if it ain't black, you ain't doing it, you tripping. And what's going to happen is it's going to take you back to the first slides where you're going to be stuck and your house going to be dirty and you ain't even know how to clean it. And you're going to think that people like in the 1% are magic. Y'all just magic. Not realizing, no, it's going through those steps and learning to love myself enough to where I can love you a lot. And read your books and learn from you and sit. Some of the most game that I got came from white men. I told y'all that. Hap Klopp, founder of North Face, was my first mentor, taught me the game. Brought me to his office every Friday. Like, yo, I seen your thing in the newspaper. Come, I'll give you some game. What would you want from me? Nothing. I just want to give you some game. Every Friday, come through. For 6 months, he did it. Didn't ask for nothing.
Yeah,
then at the end of 6 months, he's like, here's 10 G's. Go be great. I'm a kid. And if you ever need me for anything, I got you. Anything. So, what I'm going like that. But you can love yourself and love others.
You know, also too. Okay, so here's the ugly side of not liking other people. You can't serve them. You can't see them. You can't show up for them, and you're triggered so easy by them, and you're using them as an excuse of why you can't perform. You got to take them off the table. If you're not performing, you're just not performing. If they resist you, all business is about resistance. Nobody gets in business and people are like, let me just oil the bath for you. Here you go. Go and pass me up if you need to go faster. No. There's people that's in competition with you. Human beings are by default are going to create resistance to you. Don't get mad at them. That's just what they do. Right? Because everybody's fighting for food. Everybody's fighting for survival. Everybody's fighting for certainty. So at the end of the day, it's like, also you can't read, like he said, when you start categorizing the way you see the world, like, okay, you have to categorize for, how you move. There has to be some structure and order to it. But when I'm moving the world, I'm actually watching everybody and learning. And I'm adopting and I'm connecting and I'm seeing patterns. I'm seeing how different people move. So then I know how to make certain decisions to position my product in certain spaces and be able to expand my products. But if your product says it only can expand under people who share your belief system, it's going to be rough. Now, in some cases, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's people who make money in the Democratic Republican Party from those narrow beliefs. I'm suggesting to you that eventually it's almost. I remember a long time ago, I told this story when I saw some of that rising up in my company because I have a lot of black folks working for me. And the sisters was talking about white men, how white men got on their nerves. This is like about 3 years ago. I said, cut that shit out. He looked at me and I was like, because it's kind of hard for me to say that because I know what your brain first saying is like, oh, here goes that dude making money who think, he don't see the stuff that black people go through. You got the game mixed up. Hear what I just said. I said, if you feel that way about white men, and I send you to an office to negotiate with this white dude to get my money, and they have on suits and slick back hair, you automatically going to lose this battle because you're going to feel inferior. Because in your conversation, you suggested superiority. You got to see them as just men. Once you're able to bring down this status that you've given other people and other races, either they don't like you, they're in front of you, they're doing better than you, they hating on you, all this stuff. When it's time to negotiate with them, or you're in a room and you're working with a group with them, right? I'm in a room all the time and it's like hella white people, they're just human beings in a room with me. So I can see all my plays, I can see the weaknesses and strengths, I can see how to position, how to change, how to design the environment. I see all my super tools and power. When I didn't see this, because there was a time in my life I didn't see this. I go in a room with the same group of people and I just saw a label of all these white people in a room and I'm just projecting onto them. I don't see their variations, their differences, their weaknesses. And guess who loses every time? I was losing every time. Once I turned down my labeling, that's why I don't like any form of labeling. I don't care if it's LGBTQ, I hate all that labeling. I hate it all. See people. Once you see people and you turn that shit down, you realize this person's powerful, and it may be a label you ain't used to. This person's weak, and this might be a label you love. And once you start to see how people are showing up, you're able to put together smart teams, you're able to move, navigate, and you're able to negotiate, and all these superpowers. So this labeling thing and this us versus them, and us versus them is one of your human weaknesses. You're born with that from a baby. You're born to. Do you realize that diversity burns hella calories? If I brought somebody new into your life, you're burning so many mental calories just to meet somebody new. So the human brain doesn't even like new people, right? But in business, it's an energy you're gonna have to build up to be able to sit with other people and not sit with other people and try to sit. Okay, here's another weakness. You sit amongst other people and you spend the whole time trying to impress them. Got nothing for the interaction, nothing. But when you start to find value in other people, you sit with other people like, well, what do you think about? What do you see? You know one of the best ways to make somebody like you is appeal to their ego. But you can't appeal to their ego if you think they don't like you. By the way, some of the most pro-black people are the most Uncle Tom acting people I've ever seen when they were around with white people. Oh, no problem, boss. Oh, you know me. So the white person walk away. That goddamn cracker. And you're like, what just happened? And the white person walk in there, hey, I took care of it, boss. That's trauma. That's a lot of trauma. When I make my profit, go back to that gross versus net. So I make my profit in the world, but I invest a lot of my money in changing my community. That's a big difference there. When I look at the opportunity, look what my time is my most valuable asset, and I invest a lot of time every week to make sure I'm here to give to y'all, right? But I must first take care of what I make in the real world so I can be here in right side, my mind, body, and spirit, and not be hypocritical in my approach.
Yep. Next slide.
We went far in that one, huh?
We needed to,
Yeah.
Where are you now? You can never reach your destination if you don't know where you are. If you are lost, you're lost. If you have an idea for a business but don't know where to start, fine. If you are stuck at a particular stage in your business, get clear on it. This is where we will start. You.
Yo, this is the realest shit. Remember, self-acceptance, reality, the reality is, where am I? Shit. If the answer is, man, I don't even know, then you don't know. If it's, I'm stuck here, then you're stuck. Let's admit that. Because once you admit it to your brain, then now your brain comes up with solutions. Here's some psychology and what we know about the brain. And is that there's tens of billions of neurons in your brain that fire at all times. And what they're doing is, for your survival, they're looking for answers for you. So that's why it's so important that how you speak, what you say to yourself and what you say to other people. Your subconscious mind, your conscious mind is hearing you because it will always be looking for solutions for you. So when you lying to other people, you really lying and you hurting yourself.
100%.
Because if I come to you and you say, hey, how you doing? You're like, oh man, I'm doing big things. Subconsciously, your brain is like, wait, I thought we didn't have no money in the account. And you're like, no, yeah, I got this going on, this going on. So guess what happens? The survivor part of your brain starts to relax because it's like, oh, well then you cool then. And you, at that point, stop looking for answers to how to grow. But if you're honest with yourself, that creates the separation between where you are and where you want to be. And that tension is what starts to create answers for you psychologically. Your brain will come up with answers. Have you raise your hand if you're the person who like could write a paper the night before in school? You was that person, right? That's more than half the room. You know why? Because the tension between where you are, no paper, not your name written on the page, and that paper being due in 24 hours, that tension is what creates solutions, answers. When my mom would ask me, why did I do something? And I'm like, I don't know. When that belt came out, I had all kind of answers. Well, because this and that, and like let's talk about it like adults. And I come up with all kind of solutions and answers and whys and everything because the tension between here and there is what creates the. But if you lying to people, your brain's chilling now. Oh, well, then you're doing big things now. You start convoluting and corrupting the software in your brain. But when you start moving with honesty about where you are, about where you need to go, think about it. If you have GPS in your car and you're trying to go somewhere and you put where you want to go, the destination, say the destination is I want to go to the Chase Center in San Francisco. You have to put your here. If you don't put your here, the software don't work. You can't say, well, big things, or you can't make nothing up in the here. You have to say exactly where you are right now. My exact location is this, so I can tell you which left, which right to take. It's the same thing in business, and it's the same thing in how you, in terms of fundamentals and how we move. You gotta know, you gotta be honest with yourself. At least start having the conversations with yourself. Hey, this is the truth. This is the truth. I'm on the verge of this. Bankruptcy's right there. My relationship with myself, with my kids, with my partner is at this stage. So now, and when you're dreaming at night, you're dreaming of solutions. You're antsy. Oh shit, I gotta make something happen. When you hop in that shower, guess what? Oh, I could do this. I could do that. Starts with knowing where you are.
Unless you, once again, numb that sense. If you numb that sense,
that's real. Then
when that moment happens, the more you numb that sense, whether it's numb is not only drugs, it's just sexual distraction, partying distraction. Go help somebody. I've seen women who they go help everybody out, right? To numb themselves from their own personal life, right? Once you numb yourself, then you can't benefit from that tension of reality. And matter of fact, and God forbid you add on top of that, think positive.
Yep.
You gotta think positive on top of numbing yourself, on top of like the self-denial. You mix all three of those together, you're lost in your head. And the cold part is this: you literally might be sleeping on somebody's couch and go out your house and tell people I'm doing good and still can't see it. Your bank account could be close to zero and you can't, because you won't even look at your bank account. As long as you don't get insufficient funds or this credit card is not working, you'll just keep moving as if it's working. And it's, you think, I've been there before. Where I had to pull I felt myself in that space, and I had to pull myself out of that space. Like, what the hell are you doing? And that's why, like I said, when I got my first big check, this was about 10 years ago. I got my first big check. I called all my creditors. How much I owe you? Well, how much if I give you this much? What can we do? And I paid off all my credit. Why? Because in my head, I was always convincing myself something else was happening. And once, like I said, once you play these games, and like I said, I didn't do drugs, but you know how I numbed myself? I was at Chicago stepping, listening to good music, dancing all night long. And while I was dancing all night long, I was numb to what was really happening in my bank account. And then the cold part is, I would dance all night long with plans to be at the club the next day again. And the numbers was doing it. So instead of me just sitting in that space going, I hate this feeling. And then what happens when you get that anxious feeling? You get an anxious feeling which makes you start to seek out things. Now you start turning over rocks and you're curious. You got to figure it out, right? That's a good feeling to have because it's going to motivate you to stay aggressive. You'll read a whole fucking book if you need to. We're trying to figure out. When I almost lost my first house I purchased, so I bought a house, and the blueprint, the guy who did the work, he did it all wrong. So the city came out and was like, yo, you can't rent this house to nobody. Now, mind you, at this point, this is when the dot-com crash. This is way back in the dot-com crash. So I lost my dot-com job. I had a fourplex that was supposed to only be a duplex. And the city came out and was like, yo, you can't rent this out. If you try to rent this out, we're going to bring the fire department out and nail all the doors and windows up. Fuck. So, mind you, I had about 3 months of money. It's like, okay, so you got to get an architect to draw you some new plans, get the city to sign off for the plans, and then restructure the house correctly. I had 3 months of money. I ain't getting no architect. I don't even know no architects. Right? So at this point, I go and get the software, CAD software. I spend the whole weekend learning CAD, drew the motherfucking plans out, went down here on 14th Street where they used to print the blueprint plans, had them print my plans, took my first set of plans from just reading everything I could. The first set of plans is like, well, if you just change this, change that, change this, change that, change this, and change this here, because that don't make sense. I can sign off on this. I see you tomorrow, partner. Print this, right? Got my plans approved. I don't, it was so unreal. I wanted to keep the plans just from as a like award. Like I pulled this shit off. I drew up my own plans. Mm-hmm. Here's the other thing. I do a little bit of work on construction. So I called every friend I knew. I said, yo, here's the things, my list of things I gotta get done. I bought hella food with the little money I had. I bought hella food. I got another female I knew that was a good friend of mine. Can you cook all this shit for me? I feed y'all. I just gonna need y'all for 2 or 3 days to help me knock these things out. 2 weeks later, folks was moving in my house. Signed off. I don't have those skills. But when my back was against the wall, and I was about to lose that damn house, and I was running out of money, and I needed some income, man, I started figuring. Then I ended up taking up a drug program. I'm over there learning how to run a drug program. Never been on drugs like that, ever. Ever. I'm running a drug program. The first day they got me for everything they could give me. Them cats ran game on me. I'm just like, the dude walked in, it's like, you knew at this, huh? Because they just took all your money. God damn it, right? And so 3 years later, I'm sitting with judges negotiating people's freedom. When your back is against the wall, you'll be surprised who the fuck you'll become. And the judge told me, she said, this is the best program I've ever seen in Oakland. In 3 years, I'm trying to explain to you that this constant relief of tension, somebody give me some money, somebody help me, somebody support me, somebody back me. Keep the tension fresh to keep your drive consistent, right? If let's talk that Shakina talk. You find out you're a little fat. Don't cover that shit. Look at that shit every day. Look at that shit every day. Hold that shit in your hands. And say to yourself, oh yeah. Because you know what can happen? You can lie to yourself so much with your weight, and you'll look up and there's another 30 pounds just came from nowhere. That shit just invaded your body. You'd be like, what? I've been possessed by fatness. Right? And this shit can happen because you can ignore it for so long you won't even see it until one day you get on the scale and you be like, yo, man, who brought this broke ass scale in my house? I need to you go on Amazon, get me another scale. Man, Amazon send me another broken ass scale. Then you go to the doctor and they be like, nah, you bought 35 more pounds. I'm giving y'all the real how your mind is so fucking cold. You can play this game with your mind for so long and you wake up one day and you realize you don't even know who you looking at anymore. Mm-hmm. You got all this makeup on, 3/4 length jacket, coat jackets, loose ass baggy pants with extra pleats. You sit here and you over here at Ross buying hella clothes, talking about you balling and stuff, trying to buy fake ass chains, looking like an Ultra Cinco and shit, thinking you out of this world, driving in motherfucking rental cars you call your own, and your life is lost.
That's real. That's real. That's real. Next slide. I got nothing.
Can you separate the message from the messenger?
Ooh. This is a big one moving forward. It goes back to the whole racial thing. Is that genius, intelligence, wisdom, to me at least, the way God works, that happens randomly to random people. It doesn't happen to one culture or one race. So in your journey, in your thirst for knowledge and wisdom so that you can grow your businesses and get where you want to go, you have to understand that the message that you need is all around the world through different types of people. So a lot of us, we can't separate the message from the messenger. Somebody who gives game got to be good looking. They got to have a perfect lifestyle. They could have made no mistakes. And if they do make a mistake in the future, even after they gave you that good game, then you negate all of that game now because of the mistake they made in the future, even though that the game they gave you helped you get better. As an entrepreneur, you have to know that there's people who carry gold. And if they're willing to share their goal with you or give you a blueprint on how to get you some, all of us are imperfect as hell. And we all fall short in some way. They're going like in you too, you're going to fail people. No matter how perfect you think you are, if you over 30 or maybe close to 40, there's somebody who's still healing from you hurting them right now. There's somebody right now who's healing from you hurting, and you don't even know it in some cases. There's somebody. Don't look at me like that.
Oh, Shamar,
Shamar, don't look at me like that.
Shamar, don't look at me like that. See your body.
I know it's some dude you hurt his feelings, and he probably still looking at that one picture of you crying.
And she crying by herself. She said stay out of her business.
You get what I'm.
That was prophetic, Court.
You get where I'm going. So you got to be able to separate the messenger from the message. So if you look at Martin Luther King, even Martin Luther King, there's some people who won't rock with Martin Luther King because they heard he cheated on his wife. But the fact that you sitting here with the freedoms you have are influenced by that man. But we can go down the line behind our heroes who may have necessarily gotten, who fell from grace. Doesn't mean that they magic or the gold they give you wasn't effective. So that's really what we're talking about is you got to be able to separate. The more you're able to separate, it's like the faster you're able to ramp. If you can take somebody like anybody, Donald Trump, for example.
I get game from him.
And if you could just separate the hateful shit and just study the game, how did he get there? Why does he have so much support? Why is he so poor? How did he win? Instead of being so emotional, that can allow you to use some of that. Like you look at somebody like Hitler. Hitler did horrible things. But how did Hitler get there? There's books written on how he got there. At the time, where the country that he was a part of, they were doing bad. So when you're doing bad, somebody can slide in, and if they got solutions for you, you can get people to agree to do some horrible things.
And you're doing it repeated again if you don't learn it.
And it can get repeated again if you don't know it. You can see the okie doke coming. Oh wait, no, I see what's happening. Here's a trick. When I'm at my low, you come around, you feed me, take care of me. So now I owe you. So when you start switching up on me and doing things that are disgusting, I'm already influenced by your help. That's you running game. But if you are too in your silos to learn, it's gonna be tough. In business, you can learn from anybody, even your enemies. You can get game from. Next slide.
Good is bad and then good, depending on the entrepreneurial dimension.
That slide.
Hey. So here's the dichotomy of this, is that there may be, in February, we may tell you, don't do X. And in September, we might say, do X. And you might say, hey, you're being a hypocrite. Why are you being a hypocrite? You told us that last time don't do it. Now you're telling us to do it. It's because at every entrepreneurial dimension, the good and bad's change because it's relative. Good and bad is relative. It's relative. Those are rules. So what might be good for you to do at step A, we might say, don't do that.
That's rain?
Yes.
Sound like rain.
Yes.
Gee, somebody look at the window. Is that rain?
That's for sure.
Hey, y'all, for those at home, the rain is coming down so hard, it felt like a truck was coming up behind us. Dear Jesus. And we're in like a super strong building. It sounds like, holy Jesus. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
It's crazy.
Matter of fact, you know what's the type of what you said? It's called the tipping point. Malcolm Glad, huh? Oh, okay. Malcolm Gladwell said that the way it works is this way. You can start off doing good, and at some point that good can turn into bad. Right? That it's a certain point when as you evolve, as a business grows, you can start off in this word. I'm here to help the people, and you could be the same person hated by the same people if you reach a certain point of growth. Right? It's like, I watched Jay-Z go through hell. Jay-Z makes all these cool albums about how much he loves black folks. But once he hit $1 billion, there's more, Illuminati, I don't trust him, I don't like him. But if Jay-Z was to come down economically down to like, where, let's say tomorrow, Jay-Z went against the company and they took away half his money. He went to $500 million. Then black folks be like, oh, we ride with Jay. It's like Kanye, folks ride with Kanye West, but won't ride with Jay-Z, right? And it's not because they're having a honest assessment. And no, I'm not trying to demonize Kanye West. I'm saying, don't be surprised in business as you grow and as you evolve. You sometimes have to change your mask based upon your size because of the human envy. The human envy will change the way you. That's why as people get to a certain level of financial success, they don't want you to know who they are because they don't want to deal with that stuff. They try to avoid that stuff. Like, okay, like I think California spends close to $3 billion a year on education. Right? So you'll say, man, why don't this basketball player help out? If you would take his money and decide to help out from California to New York, he didn't got no more money. And he didn't change nothing. Mm-hmm. But in our brain, we're thinking, if these athletes and these basketball players get together, they don't have enough money combined to solve our problems. Our problems are $1 trillion problems. But in our brain, we see $1 million, and because we don't know numbers and we don't see that stuff. So a lot of times when somebody makes money, you automatically assume, well, why don't they? Well, also too, what offer have you made for them to even see you? Like nobody gives somebody, right. Okay, if a homeless dude is just laying there with a bottle of wine and smoking weed, hey, yo, you got some money? You look at him like, dude, I worked hard all goddamn day. You gotta be kidding me, right? But if you see him like sweeping the ground in front of your house, like, hey, you got any money to give me? You be like, hey, babe, go get $10 for that boy. You see the difference? So at some point, we got to create a certain moment. If we want other groups around us to pour into some of the solutions that we're talking about, then we got to own the problem.
Yo, here's an example. If I say, hey, you're at the beginning of your business, man, you better be hustling. Hustle. Put on all those hats. You're gonna design the product, design the web. You got zero money? Okay, then go out there and sell that product. Hustle hard, make it happen. Make your own product. Go get it. Hustle. But your business starts to take off and take traction, and you got good at hustling. So good that you're making money now. But now, guess what? Your business has hit a plateau. Can't make no more, and you can't figure out why. You're hustling, and we say, hey, you gotta stop hustling so much. And you're like, what? You just told me, you told me to. I said, yeah, you gotta stop hustling so much. You gotta start delegating. You gotta delegate and give up those jobs. And you've married hustling so hard because you gained success for it. You think it's easy with us talking about it right now? It's gonna be the hardest thing for you to do. Literally, you're gonna feel like a plane just turned upside down and you're trying to steer it until you get the hang of delegating. And then there may be stages later on that it's back time to hustle again. So don't marry anything, because depending on what entrepreneurial dimension you on, what might have been good is going to be bad, and what might be bad might be good again. That's the way the game go.
So last slide.
Problems cannot be solved with the same thinking that created it.
Ooh, that's fun. Yo, can I get a little bit of this one first?
Go ahead, bro.
Yo, this is the weakness of most social movements in a whole. This is the weakness of a lot of our personal lives. A lot of people who hate the racism of white male supremacy use their tactics against them, which means you're not going to solve the problem. A lot of people who've been hurt live to hurt other people. You cannot. Strategy is not copy and pasting what's done to you in reverse. Let's say you grew up in a neighborhood and all businesses around you were bad. You don't copy and paste that either. Let's say they were successful. You don't copy and paste that either. What do you mean if they're successful, you don't copy and paste that? Because by the time you're in business, everything's changed. Mm-hmm. Like when I say this, like a lot of us move in this tit for tat space. You don't realize how much you have lost in your life because you're still moving from. This happened to me as a child. This is why I don't. You're 50 now. I don't know how this sounds weird to me. That's like me blaming a 7-year-old in my neighborhood. Like, hey, this 7-year-old got me pissed off. No, you don't get to say that. The problem is that you got used to tit for tat. You know, men did this to me. Women did this to me, so I do this to them. What? You do not. Look, I know a lot of us are raised. I'm keeping it 100. I was raised in a black household with a real black mama who cussed, who whooped my you know what. And so when I got older, I thought that's how I moved through life. When things irritated me, I'll whoop your ass. Right? If things irritated me, I'm going to cuss you out and whoop your ass. And I wish you would. And guess what it did? It did nothing for me. It kept me in the same condition my mama was in. Right? My son, he got a little bit of that. Now, nobody got whooped. But he got that kind of force. Right? So my daughter, I'm way older. Get a daughter at a later age. Best thing that's ever happened to me and her. My daughter does something wrong. It's not a tit for tat. It's like, okay, you did this wrong. Okay, cool. It could be, I broke your favorite, whatever. All right, so how are we going to move forward, daughter? What's the solution? How should we think about this? I've done that so well with my daughter. If I walk in the house right now and she happened to be up, she's not because she's already been for school. If I walk in the house, she's going to be like, Dad, while you was gone, let me tell you all the things I did wrong. Because she knows it's going to be a conversation and we're going to work on how to figure it out and move the problem forward, right? I'm raising her like an entrepreneur, which is, hey, things are gonna happen. You ain't gonna like everything. You're gonna have crises, but you gotta move shit forward. Some of y'all raise your children the way you were raised, and if I tell you stop whooping your kids, you look at me like, I work for me. There's so much of this tit for social justice. Do you know social justice is not diverse? Okay, let's say somebody is a they advocate, not a trans advocate, because most trans people are pretty damn cool. I'm talking about they advocates. These are the worst ones. These are the ones that got the attitudes. But these are the ones like, I don't believe in gender at all. Okay, cool. And I respect that's good for you. I have zero problem with you not believing in gender. Zero. But if I walk in a room and say, how you doing, man? Oh, I don't believe in gender. Then you're not diverse either. Because diversity means that you can accept me for who the fuck I am too. You're using the wrong tactic to move the problem forward. We're going to be different. Human relationships doesn't depend on us being perfectly similar. It depends on us being different and accepting our differences. It also depends on, let me show you another corny ass move that people make. When somebody, some kind of way, you bend your behavior to make them feel comfortable. That's the, okay, let me help you out, black people, what that feels like. You walk in the room for the white people and they be like, yo, what's up, my man? What's happening with, you know how that feels, right? It feels like shit. Gay guy walks to the door, hey, how you doing? Okay, I see you. You looking fabulous. You don't talk like that, bruh. You just cussed me out from beating you in Madden 5 minutes ago. What the hell is that for? It is more loving and accepting when somebody stand in who they are and say hi to you and value you for who you are. See you for who you are. Look, in the real world, diversity is a fucking superpower. If you got a problem and we got 10 different people from different backgrounds, different beliefs solving the same problem, we're gonna come up with some innovative shit. We're gonna have a superpower of solving problems. So diversity is a superpower you want to harness, but most people believe in diversity, don't practice diversity because they do tit for tat. You hurt me, so I want to hurt you. You didn't give me rights, so I'm gonna give you rights. That's what my last point. Motherfucking so yeah, okay, Nana coming out. We can Nana back. That's the Nana for me, so clean. Okay. What's the name? The rapper from the dude with the locks in his hair.
I'm like, what?
No, but the conscious one. The conscious one.
J. Cole?
J. Cole. Yeah, y'all stop it. J. Cole, not the one with the braids. J. Cole. So anyway, J. Cole said, I used to believe in revolution, but I realized that hurt people. And when you get a hurt person who finally gets the power, all they're going to do is abuse the power.
Yes.
Right? You can't get out of the cycle of abuse if you follow that idea of because they hurt you, you got to hurt them back. Cut that shit out. The way you solve all problems in your business, day-to-day decision making, don't think look, somebody hit you in the jaw, somebody cheat you, somebody rob you, somebody you just don't feel like it's fair. Don't come back with a tactic of making it not fair for them. Go, how do I win? Not how do I compete? Because you'll win the battle and lose the fucking war. I promise you that. Mm-hmm. You'll win a lot of battles and be the brokest person in the war with hella symbols on your chest. I don't want I don't got purple heart, green heart, yellow heart, broke as fuck. Sipping water because you can't afford tea. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Hey, no, that's real. There was a question out there. DJ, did you have a question?
DJ.
Or is it? Okay. All right. I think that's it. Our problems can be solved. So again, if I told you that out of 100 people, one was going to make it, would you think that one had the same thinking as a 99, or if that thinking was different? Remember, we got to be the one. It's called a black swan, right? We have to think in terms of being a black swan. We're going to talk about that throughout the year. But you have to think outside of your training. You got to think outside of how you were raised. You got to think outside everything, because everything you want is outside of your natural thinking. So we talk about manual mode, and we're going to have to go into manual mode. Sometimes this shit is hard. It's not about money no more. Once you put your head down and start really doing this work, this mental and emotional work, is hard. And this is how the game changes too. Because few slides back, it's an ever-changing world, including you. So say you've been this humble cat throughout your life. You've been a humble cat. You cool. You ain't wanted much, but you got a little taste of success, and it never happened before. And now you got people coming up to you. Hey, yo. Hey, you the man. Hey, yo. What's up? Oh, this is that. If you've never prepared yourself to even know how to manage that, you're talking about God complex. That God complex will creep up on you so fast that now we got another problem. And it's not your business, it's you. And you lost your mind. And you ain't got no feedback loop. And you got nothing but yes people around you. And now your business will crumble, not because you didn't do all the things that helped a business grow, but you couldn't manage yourself. You couldn't manage success. We're so programmed to think about how to grow our business and how not to fail.
Come on, man.
But those are elements outside of that you forget to even think about. Damn, I didn't know that. I was like, this stuff is so intoxicating that I got to work on keep my humility game strong. It's so many elements to it that if you're not constantly learning and growing and thinking outside of this box, you get popped in the head. So
come on, man.
This is it. We'll leave it. I'll leave it like this. We can 2 weeks from now we can continue, but these are just the fundamentals. We ain't scratched.
Oh no, we
ain't scratched.
We haven't
the
really
surface.
Class is about to go to a whole
Yeah.
We're still priming you. Next week I'm not gonna prime. I'm coming in shooting darts, but we're priming you because what we discovered is sometimes people will take this class for 2 years before they get what the fuck they're learning, because they come in, their expectations blind them from what they're hearing, and they only hear what they want to hear. Because in the end, it's almost like, hey, okay, that's cool, but how do I fish still, right? And then we'll finally say, okay, I'm gonna show you how to fish. You go out there and fish, and you realize, hey, this is too slow. I'm never gonna be able to eat and feed my family and grow my community on one fish at a time. How do I expand it? And then you realize, oh, there ain't no simple answer. And you be giving it to me this whole time? And then you realize, oh, I can't tell you how many times people taking this class, we're out in the field. I share one story. We had a young lady in this class. She was real close to me. She's still close to me, very close to me. So she's taking this class. She used to make all these negative comments to me about me sometimes, like, oh, no, you just being too much. But she was riding the class. She was in class. They're missing the class. Or she made class like, oh, I think you just being too serious. Or, oh, my God, you're doing too much. Or she would just make these little slight, and it would be humor. But I could tell she's just kind of like, whatever. Then she went out there and became an entrepreneur. She came back and was like, yo, I did not understand the context of what you guys was teaching. Mm-hmm. So when you're on the side, because some of y'all are professionals, let me explain to y'all real quick. Professionals, if you're a professional inside of a job, the companies do not teach you to focus on the customer. 99% of people working inside of corporate America do not focus on the customer. You focus on corporate efficiency.
Yes.
Right? So because you're focusing on corporate efficiency, you think that professionalism of focusing on corporate efficiency translates to being an entrepreneur, when entrepreneur, number one goal is to focus on the customer. So you come out there, I've seen corporate people go out to this entrepreneur world and they build some pretty shit. It is so pretty. It just ain't got nobody to buy it. No one's showing up. They ain't seen a customer since the customer's seen them. But the shit has got paperwork, efficiency, lawyers, patents, pay for logos. I've seen people paying thousands and thousands of dollars a logo, ain't sold an apple. Ain't tested if anybody even liked the product. Don't even know how to build a relationship with the customer. They never had any direct sales type of experience. So what I'm explaining to you people is that, or here's the other person. You work in corporate America and you have a specialty skill and you think you hella tight, right? You go, well, I'm making court all this money. I'm gonna do it for myself. What you don't see is court's relationships. What you don't see is all the supporting infrastructure court built around that. What you don't see is the trust that court established in the industry. What you don't see, you don't see none of that shit. You don't see none of that shit. You don't see the sales system. You don't see the accounting system. You don't see the logistics systems. You don't see none of that shit. So you think, well, if he could do it, I could do it. Why did he come to class for? If I worked for him, I was impressive. That shit is the most craziest shit I've ever seen. And yet, when I try to talk to people, they have the nerves that turn up their professionalism as a defense. Well, I've been a professional all my life. I know all about business, and I've been doing business. Business and entrepreneurism, they even though they have some moments where they interact, they're different. You could be a strong, dope-ass professional and a horrible entrepreneur. You could be a great entrepreneur and go get fired as a business person.
I'm unemployable, by the way.
Yeah, if you hire me tomorrow, if I could get a job tomorrow, I would tell y'all, start the betting game going and see how many days it's gonna be. Not weeks. How many days before they be like, if you don't get him the fuck up out of here? Because I'm not made like that. I'm not built like that, right? So what I'm trying to explain to y'all is like, but I had to also become this person. Because at one point I was employable. But then I was like, while I was employed, I was always getting fired within years. And then after a while I was like, there's something going on here and it ain't got nothing to do with the job. I think it's me. And I think it's because at the I'm sitting at my desk looking at the window of the black community. I don't want to go outside and play with the black folks. I'm over in here fixing this shit. I don't give a shit about the Nature Conservancy. I don't give a shit about PG&E. I don't give a shit about a AAA. I don't give a shit about none of these goddamn companies. I want to go out to play with the black people. And so the attitude. Let me tell you the story real quick. Okay, go get it. I had a white supervisor, and I'm 19, 20. And he passed me and he goes, "You did a really good job today." And he went to walk away, and I kicked him in his ass as hard as I could. I mean, literally lifting him off the ground. He turned around and said, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" I said, "You should never pat a black man on his head." So I figured if you pat me on the head, I kick your ass. See, that's when I knew you cannot stay in corporate America because this is not going to translate, right? Now, mind you, I'm not that person now, but at 20, I knew something was wrong because I knew at the end of the day, I just don't follow systems like this that don't make sense to me. And I like creating systems more. I like to be following. Now, I follow systems because once you're an entrepreneur, you have to follow. There's things you will always follow something. But I like to be a creator. And I don't like to depend on others. I like to be the person that people depend on. And so that I knew there was things about me. But so I'm just saying to you guys that this shit is so different. And you can't think that like the hood is in a bad condition. So why do we keep copy and pasting the same as barbershop shit to solve our problems? It has never done it and is never going to do it. At some point, white folks are not special and they're not superpowered. They're humans just like us. The difference is that they don't use barbershop talk to solve the goddamn problems. Or all you need to do is just really simple. And as long as you put 1 or 2, you got 3. You understand? I don't understand why nobody don't understand this shit. That's why they need to hire me because I know everything. So anyway, what kind of haircut you want? It don't translate. Anyway, that being said, as they say in Brooklyn, Harlem, around Dapper Dan, I'll see y'all next week.
See y'all next week. Next week.